Chapter 55-32. In the depths of the starry sky, the limitless Sword Master and Gu Fei had come to an agreement. Gu Fei would help the limitless Sword Master break through his cultivation shackles, while the limitless Sword Master would help Gu Fei break through the realm barrier of the limitless realm. As a result, Gu Fei got serious. Once Gu Fei became ruthless, it was a very terrifying matter. Under Gu Fei's fist, the unbounded Sword Master did not even have the strength to retaliate. He was being abused miserably. In the end, Gu Fei even used his trump card, Extremity Breaking Fist. The Fist of Extremity was one of Gu Fei's trump cards. He would not use it easily. However, since he had promised to beat up the Sword Master, he could not break his promise. He did not want to beat up the Sword Master. The Sword Master was asking for it. Gu Fei's Extreme Breaking Fist directly smashed the limitless Sword Master's natal sword weapon. The fist force of his Extreme Breaking Fist was simply invincible. The limitless Sword Master exploded on the spot. Sigh, wasn't I too ruthless? Gu Fei was rather speechless when he saw this. He knew the power of the Fist of Extremity very well. The punch had directly surpassed his limits. Let alone the Sword Master, even the Demon Master, who was also a major achievement Infinite Prime, would not be able to endure it. Don't tell me I killed him! Gu Fei could not help but be rather surprised when he saw that the Sword Master did not reform his body. If he accidentally killed the Sword Master, it would truly be a tragedy. He can't even take a beating? Gu Fei was truly rather worried. The other Infinite Primes also sensed the Sword Master's presence with their soul's senses. Only after quite a while did the Sword Master's weak presence appear in outer space. Although the limitless Sword Master was not killed by Gu Fei's Extreme Breaking Fist, he was beaten half to death by Gu Fei, and even his life sword was shattered. Actually, compared to the limitless Tao body of the limitless Sword Master, the natal sword that she had refined her entire life was much stronger than her limitless Tao body. The life sword weapon was shattered by Gu Fei's punch. The limitless Sword Master directly suffered a great impact. Then, her limitless Tao body was also blasted apart. With such a double blow, even if the limitless Sword Master wanted to reconstruct his Tao body, it would not be an easy task. Mom, you scared me. I thought I killed you with one punch. Gu Fei finally sensed the aura of the limitless Sword Master, and heaved a sigh of relief. An existence like the limitless Sword Master would not be killed so easily. However, the person who made the move was Gu Fei, so it was hard to say. Just then, dots of light appeared in the void. The light gradually converged and a figure appeared in the light. The light gradually dimmed, and a beautiful woman in white appeared in the void. She quietly sat cross-legged in the air. Her jade-white skin was enveloped in a faint layer of divine light. Her hair fluttered in the wind. Her eyebrows were thin and long, and her beautiful eyes were as bright as the stars in the sky. She was the limitless Sword Master who exploded on the spot by Gu Fei's punch. Just then, the limitless Sword Master suddenly closed her eyes. A mysterious aura emanated from the limitless Sword Master's body. She seemed to have become one with the world around her. Between life and death, enlightenment? Seeing this, Gu Fei's heart skipped a beat. It seemed like the limitless Sword Master's gamble was right. His Extreme Breaking Fist almost killed the limitless Sword Master. His guess was right. The Extreme Breaking Fist did make the limitless Sword Master feel the threat of death. It was also in that moment between life and death that the limitless Sword Master actually gained enlightenment. This was how the world was. If you don't do it, you will never succeed. If you do it, even if you fail, you will have no regrets. Plus, this world is full of surprises. Without a doubt, the limitless Sword Master was lucky. If she was unlucky, she would have been smashed to pieces by Gu Fei's Extreme Breaking Fist. At this moment, the limitless Sword Master had just reconstructed her body and was still very weak. If an unparalleled being were to attack the unbounded Sword Master at this time, the unbounded Sword Master would definitely be killed. The Sword Master of the Infinite Sword was unable to block any attacks from Infinite Primes right now, as she was just too weak. Gu Fei was also depressed. Not only did he have to help the Limitless Sword Master awaken her potential and break through, he also had to protect her. If he did not protect her, other infinite primes would probably attack. After all, devouring the Limitless Sword Master's origin energy could increase one's cultivation by quite a lot. Sacred Lord Void Sky's old bastard had plotted against his senior brother, Sacred Lord Chaotic Heaven. He had imprisoned Sacred Lord Chaotic Heaven and continuously devoured Sacred Lord Chaotic Heaven's power. After all these years, Sacred Master Chaotic Heaven was almost sucked dry by that old bastard Sacred Master Chaotic Heaven. Gu Fei did not care about using this method to increase his cultivation. He did not have any thoughts of devouring other infinite primes to increase his own cultivation. The Limitless Sword Master was very carefree. He actually sat in the air and entered a mysterious state of cultivation. He did not care about anything happening in the outside world. This made Gu Fei very speechless. If he had any evil intentions towards the Limitless Sword Master, then the Limitless Sword Master would be in trouble. Gu Fei also wanted to know how strong the Limitless Sword Master's cultivation and battle prowess would be after she broke through. Perhaps she would become a decent opponent. At his level of cultivation, it was very difficult to find an opponent. He would probably only be able to find a decent opponent in the Limitless Realm. Of course, one of the reasons why he wanted to enter the Limitless Realm was to find Sacred Master Void Sky for revenge. That old bastard Sacred Master Void Sky had almost killed Gu Fei. In fact, the biggest reason why Gu Fei wanted to enter the Limitless Realm was because the Limitless Realm was a world where living beings could live forever. The living beings in the Limitless Realm all possessed true immortality. Of course, the so-called immortality was also relative. However, in the Limitless Realm, even ordinary people who did not cultivate could live forever. Gu Fei wanted to bring his family and friends into this place where they could live forever. He wanted them to live a happy life in the Limitless Realm. This was the biggest reason why Gu Fei wanted to break through the Limitless Realm's barrier. However, this goal could not be achieved in a short period of time. This was because he still had to return to the human world and bring his family and friends with him. He had been away for so long. He did not know how Yenner and her mother were doing. Gu Fei missed them very much. Chapter 55-33. In the Void Realm, deep in the starry sky, Gu Fei was protecting the Limitless Sword Master. With him protecting the Limitless Sword Master, no one dared to do anything to him. This was because no one dared to offend a ruthless person like Gu Fei. This fellow was someone who could blow up the Limitless Sword Master with one punch. The Limitless Demon Master, who was trapped by Gu Fei in the stellar array, took this opportunity to attack the stellar array with all his might. He wanted to break out of the array and escape. Ding-ling-ling! A crisp ringing sound rang out in the stellar array. Then, a wave of Buddhist power erupted. The entire stellar array was spinning frantically. Dull crashing sounds continued to ring out, and the entire star formation was shaking. Countless array patterns appeared in the void, interweaving into a mysterious array diagram. The power of the stellar array was exploding. The Limitless Demon Master roared in anger. However, the power of the Vajra Buddha Bell suppressed the eye of the stellar array. The Buddhist power of the Vajra Buddha Bell fused perfectly with the power of the array. This fusion of power was not as simple as 1 + 1. The power of the stellar array that Gu Fei had set up was extremely strong. Even the Limitless Demon Master could not break this super array. Gu Fei, hurry and let me out! Otherwise, I will refine the Limitless Fire Spirit. Although the Limitless Demon Master could not rush out of Gu Fei's stellar array, his spiritual will could be transmitted from the stellar array. What? Gu Fei suddenly turned in the direction of the stellar array. The Limitless Demon Master had actually captured the Limitless Fire Spirit? No wonder he could not sense the aura of the Limitless Fire Spirit after returning to the Void Realm. So the Limitless Fire Spirit had actually been captured by the Limitless Demon Master. Master! At this moment, a weak spiritual will fluctuation came from the stellar array. The owner of this spiritual will fluctuation was the Limitless Fire Spirit. Right now, the Limitless Fire Spirit was extremely weak. The limitless fire spirit had been oppressed by the limitless demon lord that day, and in the end, it was kept into the limitless demon tower by the limitless demon lord. The reason why the limitless demon lord didn't kill the limitless fire spirit was because he wanted to devour the limitless fire spirit's yuan qi. Once the limitless demon lord devoured the limitless fire spirit's yuan qi, the limitless fire spirit would naturally be destroyed in both body and soul. Who would have thought that the limitless fire spirit would become the bargaining chip that the limitless demon lord used to negotiate with Gu Fei? Of course, Gu Fei could ignore the limitless demon lord, but the limitless fire spirit would be in danger of being killed by the limitless demon lord. "You want to come out?" Gu Fei said. "Nonsense!" The limitless demon lord, who was trapped in the star formation, said angrily. They were communicating telepathically. "I let you out, and then you released the limitless fire spirit?" Gu Fei said indifferently. "Not bad," the limitless demon lord said hurriedly. He didn't want to stay in the star formation for another minute. One must know that the Buddhist power was his nemesis. The limitless Buddhist power that erupted from the golden bell of the limitless Buddhist power was amplified by the star formation. This made the limitless demon lord experience what it was like to live a life worse than death. Under the envelopment of the limitless Buddhist power, the limitless demon lord's body emitted black smoke continuously, as though he could turn into ashes at any time. The limitless demon lord felt as though his entire body was being burned. However, he couldn't die. This kind of torture wasn't something that an ordinary person could endure. "All right. Pa!" Gu Fei snapped his fingers. In the next moment, the Vajra bell in the formation eye of the star formation soared into the sky and rushed out of the star formation. This Gu Fei. The limitless demon lord didn't expect that Gu Fei would actually let him go so easily. Without the suppression of the golden bell of the limitless Buddhist treasure, the power of the entire star formation instantly weakened. Then, the entire star formation became unstable. Boom! The limitless demon lord slammed it with all his might. The entire star formation directly exploded. Countless stars exploded in an instant. In the dark starry sky, countless fireballs lit up at the same time. The entire star field was illuminated. At this moment, countless living beings in the void realm raised their heads to look at the starry sky. That scene was too shocking. The entire star field was burning up. A terrifying destructive aura descended from the sky. Billions of living beings were trembling. What happened? That's Master's aura. Countless living beings didn't know what happened in the starry sky. In the south, Xiaoya and Long Xiao sensed Gu Fei's aura descending from the starry sky. At this moment, a powerful demonic aura descended from the starry sky. This demonic aura didn't seem to be weaker than Gu Fei's aura. It's the limitless demon lord. When Xiaoya and Long Xiaozhou sensed this demonic aura, they were taken aback. When their master, Gu Fei, was fighting against the limitless demon lord, they had sensed this terrifying demonic aura. Where did this limitless demon lord jump out from? They didn't know that the limitless demon lord was trapped in the star formation by Gu Fei. Haha, Gu Fei, I didn't expect you to be so stupid. After the limitless demon lord broke free, he directly destroyed the star formation. Moreover, he directly swallowed the power that erupted from the star formation. What do you mean by this? Gu Fei stared at the limitless demon lord. His expression was extremely solemn. What I mean is that you are a big idiot. Haha. The limitless demon lord was overjoyed. You want to go back on your words? Gu Fei's tone became calm again. If you know, why are you still asking? Tell me, aren't you stupid? The limitless demon lord felt really good. He finally let out a sigh of relief. Sigh, why can't you understand? Gu Fei suddenly shook his head and sighed. You! Hearing this, the limitless demon lord was startled. He stared at Gu Fei. He had a bad feeling about this. Looks like you still don't understand the situation, Gu Fei said again. What did you say? The limitless demon lord was shocked and angry. Since I can trap you in the star formation, do you think I'm afraid that you will go back on your words? Gu Fei said helplessly. Swoosh! The limitless demon lord turned around and fled. However, it was too late. A huge hand reached out and grabbed the limitless demon lord in an instant. Roar! The limitless demon lord roared in anger. He struggled with all his might, wanting to break free from the hand that grabbed him. However, no matter how much he struggled, he couldn't escape from Gu Fei's grasp. Tell me, should I kill you or cripple you? Gu Fei's voice rang in the limitless demon lord's ears. The limitless demon lord didn't expect Gu Fei to be this strong. At this moment, his intestines were green with regret. He shouldn't have angered this malefic star. Chapter 55-34. The limitless demon lord wanted to trick Gu Fei, but who would have thought that Gu Fei wasn't afraid of being tricked by the limitless demon lord and directly grabbed the limitless demon lord. Even the limitless demon lord didn't expect Gu Fei to be so strong, grabbing him in one move. Such combat strength made his heart palpitate. Do you think I should kill you or cripple you? Gu Fei looked at the limitless demon lord in his hand and said with a smile that didn't seem like a smile. In front of him, this fellow was just a little stronger than an ant. Previously, he was just fooling around with the limitless demon lord and wasn't serious. Now that he was serious, the limitless demon lord was stunned. Is there a third choice? The limitless demon lord asked carefully. What do you think? Gu Fei said calmly. Don't kill me, I don't want to die. The limitless demon lord was really panicking this time. When he spoke, his voice was trembling because he knew that if Gu Fei wanted to kill him, he was dead for sure. Even infinite primes could die. There had never been any living being that could truly be indestructible. Indestructibility was relative, not absolute. However, an infinite prime was simply too strong. Even if Gu Fei wanted to kill the limitless demon lord, it would take him some effort. Sai, what are you saying? Just because you don't want to die, I won't kill you. Who told you to trick me? Gu Fei's tone turned cold. Was this fella scared silly by him? At this moment, a heart-palpitating killing intent erupted from Gu Fei. He wanted to scare this fella and act like he was really going to kill this fella. Wait! The limitless demon lord didn't care about anything as long as he could live. What? Just accept your death obediently. Gu Fei was getting impatient. I am willing to be your slave and do whatever you want. The limitless demon lord said loudly. Gu Fei's eyes lit up. Are you serious? He also did not expect that the limitless demon lord would be so cowardly to the end, actually willing to be his slave in order to live. This guy was a peerless demon lord of the limitless prime realm. Gu Fei only wanted to scare this fella, he didn't really want to kill this fella, because he still wanted to use this fella to break the boundary wall of the limitless realm. The amount of power needed to break through the boundary wall of the limitless realm was unimaginably great. Gu Fei still felt a lingering fear when he thought back to the time when he was plotted against by that old bastard, Sacred Master Void Sky. That old bastard had actually used him to break through the realm barrier of the limitless realm. At that time, Gu Fei and Sacred Lord Void Sky had only managed to create a small hole in the barrier of the limitless realm after combining all their power. Furthermore, the small hole had only appeared for a short period of time, because the limitless realm's barrier could automatically repair itself. Furthermore, the repair speed was very fast. Alright, since you want to be my slave so much, I will fulfill your wish. As Gu Fei spoke, he directly struck a forbidden technique into the limitless demon lord's body, and a profound doubt pattern was directly imprinted on the limitless demon lord's soul. The limitless demon lord was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. Who wants to be your slave? This daddy has no other choice but to live. Of course, the limitless demon lord could only keep these words in his stomach. He did not dare to anger this malefic star in front of him again. One must know that his life was more important. Gu Fei released the limitless demon lord. Greetings, master! The limitless demon lord directly knelt in the void and kowtowed towards Gu Fei. Still not releasing the limitless fire spirit? Gu Fei looked at the obedient limitless demon lord on the ground and said calmly. He was not afraid that this fellow would betray him. After all, this fellow's life or death was in his hands. Yes, yes, yes! The Limitless Demon Lord hurriedly took out the Limitless Demon Tower. A demon tower rushed out from his body and instantly enlarged. The huge demon tower towered in the void like a terrifying demon mountain. The vast demonic aura emitted from the demon tower caused the entire starry sky to tremble. Master, it's Master's aura! Master is back, Master, save me! Within the Limitless Demon Tower, the weak spiritual will of the Limitless Fire Spirit could be heard. Although this Limitless Fire Spirit was a life form of the Limitless Prime Realm, it was not unkillable. However, it needed some time. After being sucked into the Limitless Demon Tower by the Limitless Demon Lord, it had been refined for such a long time. It could be said that its body and soul were about to be completely destroyed. The Limitless Demon Lord directly opened the seal of the Limitless Demon Tower. In the next moment, a flame rushed out from the Limitless Demon Tower. It turned into a human-shaped flame and landed in front of Gu Fei. Greetings, Master. Xiaohe almost couldn't see Master anymore. The Limitless Fire Spirit was actually crying and snot. This made Gu Fei very surprised. Why did this fellow look more and more like a human? This Limitless Fire Spirit was not a human, but a life form evolved from the Limitless Fire Spirit. However, after thousands of years, the Limitless Fire Spirit had the emotions of a human. All right, get up! Gu Fei waved his hand and the Limitless Fire Spirit in the void stood up. Master, why is this fellow here? Master, please take revenge for me. The moment the Limitless Fire Spirit saw the Limitless Demon Lord lying in the void, he immediately exclaimed. He was almost refined by this guy. The Limitless Demon Lord, who was lying at the side, was shocked when he heard this. The Limitless Fire Spirit was nothing in his eyes, but now, with Gu Fei supporting this fellow, he was going to be unlucky. He is my slave now. What do you think we should do? Gu Fei glanced at the Limitless Fire Spirit and said, What? The Limitless Fire Spirit was stunned and revealed a strange expression. The Limitless Demon Lord was actually subdued by Master and became Master's slave? Haha, to think that you would have such a day. The Limitless Fire Spirit suddenly laughed gloatingly. What are you laughing at? Is being Master's slave a bad thing? Don't you want to be Master's slave? The Limitless Demon Lord, who was lying in the void, suddenly said. What did you say? The Limitless Fire Spirit was enraged when he heard this. This Limitless Demon Lord was too despicable. He actually wanted to cause trouble and make Master unhappy with him. Of course, Gu Fei was not so easily fooled. But one had to admit that the Limitless Demon Lord's schemes were too terrifying. This made Gu Fei a little unhappy. Isn't that so? The Limitless Demon Lord sneered. You! The Limitless Fire Spirit stared at the Limitless Demon Lord and clenched his fist. It looked like he was going to fight the Limitless Demon Lord in the next moment. Enough, you two! Gu Fei said loudly, impatient. Chapter 5535. The Limitless Demon Lord had actually been subdued by Gu Fei. This shocked all the other Limitless Primes. One had to know that the Limitless Demon Lord was the number one demon in the Void Realm, the only demonic cultivator in the Limitless Prime Realm. Although the Limitless Demon Lord wasn't the strongest Limitless Prime in the Void Realm, no one in the Void Realm could kill him. Not even Sacred Master Su Tian's clone. But Gu Fei was different. Gu Fei was a great completion Limitless Prime, and he had all sorts of mystic arts that could kill Limitless Primes, such as the primordial spirit sword of the 9 secrets of the immortal Tao. This was also why the Limitless Demon Lord was Gu Fei's servant. The Limitless Demon Lord didn't want to die. He had lived for countless years, and he still wanted to return to the Limitless Realm, so he couldn't die. He wanted to return to the Limitless Realm alive. In order to live, the Limitless Demon Lord was willing to do anything. Right now, Gu Fei had 3 Limitless Primes as his subordinates. This kind of power was enough for him to sweep through the Void Realm and do whatever he wanted. Gu Fei was instantly annoyed when he saw the tension between the limitless demon lord and the limitless fire spirit. Lil Fire, do you want to find the limitless demon lord for revenge? Gu Fei suddenly looked at the limitless fire spirit and said, This? The limitless fire spirit hesitated. If you want to, then don't. What are you hesitating for? Can't you be more straightforward? Gu Fei said coldly. Yes. The limitless fire spirit said loudly. Very well, then go beat up the limitless demon lord to vent your anger, and this matter will be over. Gu Fei said calmly. The limitless fire spirit and the limitless demon lord didn't say anything. The limitless demon lord was annoyed again. Limitless demon lord, you can't fight back, Gu Fei added. The limitless demon lord was even more annoyed. Haha, thank you, master. The limitless fire spirit was so happy. At this moment, the limitless demon master did not make a sound. Because the more he spoke, the more mistakes he would make. If he made Gu Fei unhappy, the unlucky one would definitely be him. Old demon limitless, your daddy is here to take revenge. The limitless fire spirit laughed sinisterly, and directly pounced towards the limitless demon lord. Then, muffled and concentrated sounds of collision rang out. The limitless fire spirit was violently beating the limitless demon lord, because he only had this one chance. If he wanted to beat the limitless demon lord again, he probably wouldn't have this chance anymore. Because this time, Gu Fei didn't want the limitless demon lord to be able to retaliate. The limitless fire spirit was satisfied, his anger had been vented, but the limitless demon lord was miserable. The limitless fire spirit's anger had been vented, but the limitless demon lord had a belly full of anger, and this belly full of anger couldn't be vented, there was no place to vent it. The limitless demon lord was abused by the limitless fire spirit for a full 3 days and 3 nights. Only then did the limitless fire spirit stop. At this time, Gu Fei had been guarding the limitless sword master. The limitless sword master's cultivation had also reached the most critical moment. The limitless sword master's sword Dao aura was constantly transforming. The sword Dao aura on the limitless sword master's body was sometimes strong and sometimes weak. When it was strong, it was earth-shattering and the stars trembled. When it was weak, Gu Fei almost couldn't sense the sword Dao aura on the limitless sword master. Looks like it will be in the next few days. Gu Fei knew that the limitless sword master would soon wake up from his cultivation. At this time, in the southern barbarian region, Xiaoya's hunting game was still going on. However, the hunting targets were getting fewer and fewer. Saber King Luo Lai was the first unlucky one. He was killed by the Black Dragon King, Qiu Qianjian, and Fierce Tiger King. The Black Dragon King then defeated Qiu Qianjian and Fierce Tiger King and obtained a reward from Xiaoya. Next was Wu Fang. He was originally going to be captured by the Great Witch King and the others and hand over to Xiaoya. Who would have thought that Hong Zuier would suddenly appear? Wu Fang fell directly into Hong Zuier's hands. Then, Hong Zuier grabbed Wu Fang and brought him to Xiaoya and exchanged him for an extreme Dao-level battle spear. Wu Fang died a worthy death. He killed himself and didn't implicate anyone. 2 of the 5 traitors had been dealt with. There was still the North Garrison King, Wanxiang King, and Hun Tianhuang who were still stubbornly resisting because they didn't want to die. Especially Hun Tianhuang. His cultivation had just broken through to the initial stage of the Emperor realm. He had a bright future ahead of him. He didn't want to be killed just like that. Hong Zuier went to find Hun Tianhuang. She wanted to test the power of the extreme Dao weapon she had just obtained. Swoosh! Hong Zuier directly stabbed the battle spear in her hand towards Hun Tianhuang. Clang! The sound of metal colliding rang out. Hun Tianhuang blocked Hong Zuier's battle spear and was sent flying. A black shield appeared in his hand. Hun Tianhuang steadied himself and looked down. He saw that the black shield in his hand was dented. Although he had blocked Hong Zuier's attack, the black shield was dented. This shocked him. Not only was his opponent in the Emperor realm, but the battle spear in her hand was also an Emperor realm weapon. Good! Hong Zuier shouted. In the next moment, the sky was filled with the shadows of battle spears. Countless battle spears stabbed towards Hun Tianhuang. Every spear's shadow was extremely fast. What? Hun Tianhuang was shocked. He immediately activated the black shield in his hand. In the next moment, a ball of demonic light erupted from the black shield and instantly enveloped him. The countless spear shadows that stabbed towards Hun Tianhuang were all blocked by the ball of demonic light that erupted from the black shield. The protective demonic light around Hun Tianhuang was attacked by the battle spears. Countless ripples appeared on the demonic light, and countless demonic patterns appeared within the demonic light. Hong Zui'er suddenly stopped. The shadows of the battle spears that filled the sky immediately disappeared. She didn't really activate the power of the battle spear because she had just obtained it. She didn't know the attributes of the battle spear that well. I say, chick, this guy is mine. A figure walked over from the distance. This person was Huangfu Zun, who had come to kill Hun Tianhuang. Huangfu geezer, do you really think that it's yours just because you say so? Another figure appeared in the void. This time, it was a guy covered in a vast and mighty death aura. He was Bone Sovereign. The appearance of the two Emperor Realm experts directly blocked all of Hun Tianhuang's escape routes. Do you have any shame? Hun Tianhuang was furious. He realized that he couldn't escape from this area at all. It seemed that he was really going to die today. Of course we don't want shame, but we also want your life. Huangfu Zun smiled. You bastards! You want my life? Then come and take it! Hun Tianhuang was filled with murderous intent. These guys wanted his life, so he had to risk his life. However, the three Emperor Realm experts didn't make a move. Huangfu geezer, you go first, Bone Sovereign said. You, Bone Monster, go first. Huangfu Zun also didn't make a move. You go first. You go first. The two of them actually gave way to each other. Both of you, get lost. Chapter 55-36. Both Huangfu Zun and Bone Sovereign were hesitant to make the first move because they knew that the chaotic Heavenly Emperor was in a desperate situation and would definitely put up a desperate fight. Therefore, whoever made the first move would be the unlucky one. Both Huangfu Zun and Bone Sovereign were extremely shrewd fellows. They naturally did not want to be at a disadvantage. However, Hong Zui'er did not care about that and directly attacked. Little girl, are you in such a hurry to die? The chaotic Heavenly Emperor sneered, but he did not dare to underestimate this purple-clothed girl. Swoosh! The spear pierced through the sky and pierced towards the chaotic Heavenly Emperor. Hong Zui'er's attack was simple and direct. Naturally, its power was not weak either. At this level of cultivation, the simplest attack was usually the strongest attack. The chaotic Heavenly Emperor could not help but shudder when he saw Hong Zui'er's spear. He had already noticed that Hong Zui'er was also an Emperor Realm expert, but her combat experience was incomparably rich. Clang! The sound of metal colliding resounded. The chaotic Heavenly Emperor raised the Devil's Shield in his hand to block Hong Zui'er's spear. Then, he punched towards Hong Zui'er. Rumble! The surging fist energy was as violent as a volcanic eruption. It directly collided with Hong Zui'er, causing the void to tremble. Bam! Hong Zui'er also punched out. This was the primordial heaven opening fist of the primordial divine race. The fist energy was so powerful and domineering that it even surpassed the chaotic Heavenly Emperor's punch. The chaotic Heavenly Emperor felt his entire arm tremble as an unstoppable force passed through his opponent's fist. Immediately, he was sent flying 1,000 feet away uncontrollably. This little girl is fierce. Bone Sovereign and Huangfu Zun were stunned by this scene. Where did this little girl come from? How could she be so powerful? Huangfu Zun and Bone Sovereign did not know Hong Zui'er's identity because not many people knew that Hong Zui'er had come to the Void Realm with Gu Fei. Only Xiaoye and Long Xiaozhou knew that their master had brought a few people back to the Void Realm. Kill! At this moment, the chaotic Heavenly Emperor completely erupted. One after another, the shadows of demonic dragons rushed out from the Devil's Shield in his hand. The illusory demonic dragons circled around the heaven-mixing emperor. In the next moment, they pounced towards Hongzueer with their claws and fangs bared. Sky-shaking fist! Hongzueer sheathed her battle spear and struck out with the grandest divine fist's killer move. A violent fist force erupted from Hongzueer's fist. Countless fist shadows appeared in the void, directly blasting towards the demonic dragon. Muffled collisions rang out as Hongzueer's countless fist shadows all landed on the demonic dragon's body, causing it to dissipate in the void. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared beside Hongzueer. Bam! With a muffled sound, Hongzueer was sent flying. You! Hongzueer was incomparably shocked. This fellow was too cunning. He pretended to fight with his life on the line, but in reality, this was just a smokescreen. He wanted to lure her into attacking with her full strength, and then take advantage of the moment she revealed an opening to strike. One had to admit that the heaven-mixing emperor was really cunning. Hongzueer's combat experience was obviously insufficient because her cultivation had just broken through to the extreme Dao realm not long ago. Hongzueer still lacked the experience to control the newborn power of the extreme Dao realm. Hongzueer steadied herself, and a trace of blood seeped out of the corner of her mouth. At this moment, the heaven-mixing emperor had arrived. Xiaoya and Long Xiaozhou, who were watching the battle from afar, were shocked to see this. This person had a special relationship with their master. It would be terrible if something happened to this woman. Xiaoya and Long Xiaozhou could not sit still anymore, and they hurriedly rushed towards Hongzueer. Bone Emperor, Huangfuzun, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Long Xiaozhou shouted at Bone Emperor and Huangfuzun, who were watching the battle from the side. Her cultivation had already surpassed these two guys, so she directly gave them an order. Of course, even though Long Xiaozhou's cultivation was below Bone Emperor and Huangfuzun's, the two Emperor realm experts still had to obey her orders. This was because Long Xiao was Gu Fei's disciple, and that was enough. Bone Emperor and Huangfuzun were stunned by Long Xiaozhou's roar, and then they attacked the heaven-mixing emperor at the same time. At this moment, they did not care who attacked first, and who would be the unlucky one. Boom! Another muffled sound rang out, and the heaven-mixing emperor was sent flying. The joint attack of Huangfuzun and Bone Emperor had forced the heaven-mixing emperor to retreat even though he was protected by a devil artifact. That devil artifact of his is really annoying. Long Xiao stared at the heaven-mixing emperor and said coldly. Then why don't you destroy his devil artifact? Xiaoya said angrily. She was only a half-step extreme Dao realm expert, and in the Void realm, she was only a half-step Emperor realm expert. Long Xiaozhou, on the other hand, was a genuine peak Emperor realm expert. Sai, why am I always the coolie? Long Xiao was depressed. Because you are the second brother, and I am the eldest, Xiaoya said proudly. Long Xiao was speechless. Xiaoya was right. The first disciple that Gu Fei accepted in the Void realm was Xiaoya, the second disciple was Long Xiaozhou, and the third disciple was the old ancestor of the Sky Clan, Yuxiener. However, Yuxiener was a special existence. Even Long Xiao and Xiaoya couldn't order her around. Your Highness Dragon Lady, there is no need to use a butcher's knife to crack a chicken. We can deal with this guy, Bone Emperor said hurriedly when he saw that Long Xiaozhou was about to make a move. That's right. Your Highness Dragon Lady has a noble status. A traitor like this is not worthy of your Highness's attention, Huangfuzun said. He is mine. Hongzueer had already recovered by this time. She walked towards the heaven-mixing emperor step by step with a murderous aura. Both Huangfuzun and Bone Emperor looked at Long Xiaozhou. Stand down! Long Xiaozhou looked at Hongzueer and said indifferently. Yes. Bone Emperor and Huangfuzun had no choice but to retreat. They were very curious about this little girl's background. Even Xiaoya and Long Xiaozhou were a little afraid of her. There was nothing much to say. Hongzue attacked immediately. She once again used the extreme Dao-grade spear she got from Xiaoya. The spear in her hand emitted a dazzling divine light. Runes intertwined on the spearhead, and the cold light that shot out from the spearhead seemed to be able to pierce through the void. "Little girl, since you are courting death, I will fulfill your wish." The heaven-mixing emperor knew that he couldn't escape, so he might as well find a scapegoat. This way, he wouldn't lose anything. Boom! The heaven-mixing emperor activated the devil's shield in his hand with all his might. Powerful devil Tao energy erupted from the shield, and the entire void was instantly shrouded by this devil Tao energy. Chapter 55-37. Gu Fei had subdued the limitless demon lord and was sealed in the limitless demon tower. The limitless fire spirit that he was about to refine was naturally released by the limitless demon lord. The limitless fire spirit was sealed in the limitless demon tower and was almost completely destroyed by the limitless demon lord. That was a huge grudge. However, it was impossible for Gu Fei to kill the limitless demon lord because he still needed the limitless demon lord's power to help him break through the boundary wall of the limitless realm. Gu Fei wanted to gather all the infinite primes. He wanted to gather the power of all the infinite primes to smash through the barrier of the infinite world. Actually, even if he gathered all the limitless primes, Gu Fei knew that he might not be able to break through the boundary wall of the limitless realm. That old bastard Void Sky was at the peak of the limitless realm. He had risked his life and even schemed against Yifutian, squeezing out all of Yifutian's power to break through the boundary wall of the limitless realm. If Gu Fei hadn't cultivated one of the 9 secrets of the immortal path, the Ascension secret technique, he would probably have died a long time ago. Gathering all the limitless primes together might be able to break through the boundary wall of the limitless realm. Who knew if they would succeed without trying? At this time, the limitless primes in the void realm included Gu Fei, the chaotic heaven's sacred master, the limitless sword master, the limitless demon lord, the limitless fire spirit, Yen Wu, the clone of sacred master Void Sky, the limitless snow monster, and the ancestor of all monsters of the eastern wilderness. The artifact soul in the sky race's ancestral grounds was barely in limitless prime. Also, the world-suppressing tool soul he got from the small void paradise was also an infinite prime. Therefore, Gu Fei could gather the power of 10 limitless primes. Including himself, there were 11 limitless primes. If the power of so many limitless primes were gathered together through a formation, they might really be able to break through the boundary wall of the limitless realm. At this time, the limitless sword master's aura suddenly disappeared. She was clearly sitting in the void, but when Yifutian used his divine will to sense her, there was nothing there. Gu Fei's heart thumped. At this moment, the limitless sword master, who was sitting cross-legged in the sky, suddenly opened her eyes. 2 extremely sharp sword lights shot out from her eyes. Although these 2 sword lights were not very bright, they illuminated the entire starry sky. A chilling sword chi spread out from her body. The temperature of the entire void dropped rapidly under the impact of the sword chi. Gu Fei could sense that the sword chi that was being emitted from the limitless sword master was not sharp at all. Instead, it was like water ripples, very soft and very light. Good heavens! Gu Fei knew that the limitless sword head's cultivation base had finally broken through. This limitless sword head's cultivation base was truly amazing. He actually broke through to the limitless sword head's cultivation base. Very good! Gu Fei is also very happy in his heart, because the stronger the limitless sword master is, the higher the chances of him breaking through the realm wall of the limitless realm. How about another round? The limitless sword master stood up from the void, looked at Gu Fei and suddenly laughed. Gu Fei's heart trembled. The limitless sword master seemed to have changed into a different person. The previous limitless sword master was cold and emotionless, but the current limitless sword master seemed to have a little more humanity. Shwa! Before Gu Fei could say anything, the limitless demon master and the limitless fire spirit disappeared without a trace. Seeing that the 2 of them ran away so quickly, Gu Fei was a little depressed. I haven't even agreed to not fight with the limitless sword master. Come on! The limitless sword master said as he directly pounced towards Gu Fei. However, he directly pounced towards Gu Fei, as if he wanted to pounce into Gu Fei's embrace. However, Gu Fei felt all the hairs on his body stand up. He felt an extreme sense of danger. Chaotic chaos! Gu Fei did not dare to delay. In the next moment, the void around him began to tremble. No matter how the limitless sword master attacked, Gu Fei's chaotic chaos secret technique could directly reverse the opponent's attack and return it back to the opponent. This was the power of one of the 9 secrets of the immortal Tao, the chaotic chaos secret technique. I haven't agreed to fight with you yet, Gu Fei shouted. At this moment, the limitless sword master directly pounced into Gu Fei's chaotic chaos secret technique. The limitless sword master instantly disappeared into the void. In the next moment, when she reappeared, she was already hundreds of feet away from Gu Fei. Gu Fei's chaotic chaos secret technique directly moved the limitless sword master hundreds of feet away. What a mysterious mystic art! The limitless sword master's heart trembled. The mystic art that Gu Fei displayed was too unbelievable. His cultivation had already broken through to the limitless realm, but he was still no match for Gu Fei. When an expert makes a move, it's obvious whether or not it's real. Gu Fei had such a mystic art. He was already undefeatable. However, even knowing this, the limitless sword master still wanted to fight. She still wanted to fight with Gu Fei, and it was a hearty fight. With her current cultivation, where could she find a sparring partner like Gu Fei? Can we not fight? Gu Fei was depressed. He had basically become the limitless sword master's nanny. Not only did he have to protect her, but he also had to train with her. What was going on? What do you think? The limitless sword master stared at Gu Fei. A powerful spiritual will had already locked onto Gu Fei. This made him feel like he was being stabbed by countless blades and could be dismembered at any time. Sword Chi was born from a single thought. This was the limitless sword master's current cultivation. As long as she wanted it, anything she could think of could become a sword in her hand. The limitless sword master's swordsmanship had once again reached a higher level. Sword Chi was born from a single thought. Everything in the world became a sword. The current limitless sword master no longer needed her life weapon. She had completely broken free from the shackles of her life weapon. As long as she wanted it, anything could become her life weapon. The limitless sword master extended his right hand and pointed at Gu Fei. In the next moment, on the tip of his finger, sword flowers bloomed. Countless sword flowers floated towards Gu Fei. The sky was filled with sword flowers. This scene was absolutely shocking. Who would have thought that when the sword was trained to the extreme, such a technique could be born? Interesting. Seeing this, Gu Fei was inspired again. The limitless sword master's swordsmanship was worth learning from. However, at this moment, he had no time to carefully comprehend the limitless sword master's swordsmanship. Here you go! Gu Fei once again displayed one of the 9 secrets of the immortal path, the chaotic secret technique. The chaotic energy spread from his body and the surrounding space rippled like water. The countless sword flowers that floated towards Gu Fei disappeared the moment they entered the space around Gu Fei. Chapter 5538. The limitless sword master's combat power had definitely increased by a large margin after breaking through to the supreme ultimate realm. She had successfully gotten rid of her dependence on her natal sword weapon. Now, it was no longer important for her to have a natal sword weapon. After all, everything could be a sword to her. Even a speck of dust in the void could erupt with terrifying sword power under the control of the limitless sword master. At this time, Gu Fei once again performed the chaotic secret technique. A powerful chaotic force radiated from Gu Fei's body. All of the sword chi slashing towards him, whether they were tangible or intangible, were all reflected back at him. Endless sword chi streaked across the void, leaving behind countless pitch-black spatial cracks. Although the two of them were just standing quietly in the starry sky, murderous intent was everywhere. The void between the two of them was directly filled with sword chi, whether tangible or intangible. Nothing could exist in the void between Gu Fei and the limitless sword master, because everything would be destroyed by the limitless sword master's sword power. I think you should find someone else to practice with, Gu Fei said to the limitless sword master in boredom. This kind of battle was meaningless, because the limitless sword master's cultivation had just broken through, so it was naturally impossible for her to break through again. Moreover, Gu Fei's cultivation realm was far from reaching a bottleneck. Gu Fei's chaotic reversal secret technique put him in an invincible position. With Gu Fei's current cultivation, the chaotic secret technique that he performed could not be broken by the limitless sword master. Therefore, as long as Gu Fei ignored the limitless sword master, the limitless sword master could not do anything to Gu Fei. Is there a better opponent than you in this void realm? The limitless sword master was still attacking. The sword chi that she released changed again. The sword chi exploded like a volcano, sweeping towards Gu Fei with unstoppable force. The entire void was filled with violent sword chi. Gu Fei was like a lone boat in the raging sea, as though he could be drowned by the raging sea at any time. However, Gu Fei was still standing quietly in the void with his hands behind his back. The space around him was distorted, and the extremely violent sword chi could not even get close to him. As long as the sword chi entered the space around him, it would immediately disappear. In the next moment, the disappearing sword chi would once again rush out from the void and attack the limitless sword master. This way, it was as if the limitless sword master was fighting with her, and Gu Fei was the outsider. This was too strange and inconceivable. This limitless sword master was speechless. There was no point in continuing to fight like this. I owe you a favor. I will definitely help you. Just let me know when you need my help. Goodbye. After saying that, the limitless sword master instantly turned into a sword light and soared into the sky, instantly disappearing into the void. His speed was so fast that even Gu Fei was a little surprised. The speed of a cultivator who cultivated the way of the sword was faster than the flying techniques of other cultivators. At the limitless sword master's level of cultivation, her speed was naturally even more terrifying. Gu Fei was a little surprised that the limitless sword master left just like that. Don't tell me she went to find other infinite primes to spar with? Thinking about this, Gu Fei was a little gloating. Just who was unlucky enough to be found by the limitless sword master? Very soon, Gu Fei knew who the limitless sword master had found. She had found Yan Wu. Amazing. The limitless sword master is too amazing. Gu Fei was very surprised that the limitless sword master had found Yan Wu. Yan Wu was chasing after Sacred Master Void Sky's clone. Yan Wu knew Gu Fei's plan. Although she was chasing after Sacred Master Void Sky's clone with killing intent, she didn't actually kill it. Even so, Yan Wu was still able to bully Sacred Master Void Sky's clone. Just as Yan Wu caught up to Sacred Master Void Sky's clone and blocked it in a valley, a figure descended from the sky and landed in front of Yan Wu. Weren't you fighting with Gu Fei? Yan Wu was surprised to see the limitless sword master suddenly appear. The battle between Gu Fei and the limitless sword master had attracted the attention of all the infinite primes. Yan Wu obviously knew about the limitless sword master. The limitless sword master also knew about Yan Wu. The void world was only so big. An infinite prime could cover an endless area with just a thought. The limitless sword master could also sense Yan Wu's existence. Gu Fei doesn't want to fight with me. The limitless sword master looked at Yan Wu and said with a smile. So you want to fight with me? Yan Wu couldn't help but frown. She didn't want to fight with the limitless sword master for no reason. At their level of cultivation, the shockwaves would be huge. However, this wasn't her world. Even if she destroyed this world, it wouldn't be a big deal to her. That's right. The limitless sword master said with a solemn expression. I don't want to fight with you either. What should I do? Yan Wu suddenly smiled. It's not up to you. In the next instant, faint spatial ripples appeared in the space around her. An invisible sword beam shot out from her body and slashed towards Yan Wu. Yan Wu's eyes widened in shock. She looked at Yan Wu, who was standing in front of her. Humph! Yan Wu sneered. The smile on her face instantly disappeared. In the next moment, she pointed a finger at the limitless sword master. A finger force directly broke through the boundless sword chi and pierced towards the limitless sword master's forehead. Swoosh! The limitless sword master instantly turned into a sword light and slashed towards Yen Wu. Yen Wu's finger energy was also split in two by the limitless sword master's sword light. The sword light that the limitless sword master turned into was invincible. Everywhere the sword light passed, a pitch-black spatial crack was left in the air. The chilling sword she spread out, and the surrounding space seemed to have turned into an ice cave. At this moment, the clone of Sacred Master Su Tian was the most surprised. He didn't expect the limitless sword master to suddenly appear and fight with the crazy woman who was chasing after him. There were two paths in front of Sacred Master Su Tian's clone. One was to escape, and the other was to work together with the limitless sword master to kill this crazy woman. However, it wasn't easy to kill an infinite prime. You guys have fun! Sacred Master Su Tian's clone hesitated for a moment, but he still chose to escape. He immediately rushed out of the valley and quickly disappeared from Yen Wu's divine sense. No one knew where he had gone. Chapter 5539. Although Yen Wu was chasing after Sacred Master Void Sky's clone, she had no intention of killing it. She was merely playing around. Therefore, although Sacred Master Void Sky's clone had escaped, she did not care. Instead, she was very interested in the Sword Master of the Everlasting Sword because this person dared to challenge Gu Fei. Probably no one knew better than Yen Wu just how strong Gu Fei was. This was because she and Gu Fei shared a life-and-death relationship. In other words, if she died, Gu Fei would die with her. Conversely, if Gu Fei died, she, Yen Wu, would be buried with him. Yen Wu was the ruler of the flame world. She was a life form at the level of the world. She was definitely a daughter of the heavens. From the day she was born, she was a supreme existence that looked down on all life. This was because she was the will of the world of the flame world's perfect world. Yen Wu was undoubtedly proud. In her opinion, no one, especially women, could compare to her because she was the most outstanding and strongest woman. But now, the Sword Master of the Everlasting Sword had appeared. The Sword Master of the Everlasting Sword was comparable to Yen Wu in both appearance and cultivation. The two of them were the most beautiful women Gu Fei had ever seen. Their cultivations were also at the peak of the infinite realm. One was the embodiment of the will of the world and stood above all life. The other had cultivated the way of the sword her entire life and was the representative of the ultimate way of the sword. When such an outstanding, powerful, and extremely beautiful woman met, the two of them naturally began to compare themselves. They both believed that they were the most outstanding and powerful one. Whether it was the Sword Master of the Everlasting Sword or Yen Wu, either would admit defeat. Neither believed there was a woman stronger than them in the world. Therefore, when two female infinite primes like them met, there would definitely be the most resplendent sparks. Two powerful auras began to erupt in the valley, causing the entire valley to tremble. Cracks began to appear everywhere in the valley. You two are fighting just like this? At this moment, a figure descended from the sky and landed between the Sword Master of the Everlasting Sword and Yen Wu. It's you? What are you doing here? Yen Wu and the Sword Master of the Everlasting Sword were slightly surprised when they saw the person. It was Gu Fei. Sigh, I have to come. Gu Fei sighed helplessly. If these two fellows were to start fighting, wouldn't the entire void realm be in trouble? Billions of living beings would suffer a calamity. Although the mirage's laws of heaven and earth were powerful, Yen Wu herself was a heaven and earth existence. Moreover, the limitless Sword Master's cultivation had broken through to the limitless realm. If they fought with all their might, the entire void realm would be affected. It's none of your business, Yen Wu said coldly as she glared at the limitless Sword Master. Her aura continued to rise, showing no signs of stopping. Are you going to stop me? The limitless Sword Master said. Her aura also soared. At this moment, the limitless Sword Master seemed to have become a different person. Her entire person was like an unsheathed peerless divine sword, revealing its sharpness. I'm not trying to stop you. I just want you to change places. Gu Fei's face was solemn. He didn't want the battle between the limitless Sword Master and Yan Wu to affect the ethereal extent. He didn't want billions of creatures to suffer because of this. Where should we go? This place is very good, Yan Wu said coldly. I have no objections. The Limitless Sword Master said disapprovingly. You have no choice but to change places, because I'm here. As Gu Fei spoke, he raised his right hand. In the next moment, the entire space shook and distorted. Then, the Limitless Sword Master and Yan Wu found themselves in a strange space. There was no sky above or earth below. Everything around them was white. No matter how they looked at it, it didn't seem like a world. Alright, you guys can slowly fight here. Fight to your heart's content. Gu Fei's voice appeared in this space. The Limitless Sword Master and Yan Wu were speechless. This guy was too despicable. There was nothing here. Forget about the heaven and earth spiritual energy. Even if they expended their yuan qi here, they wouldn't be able to replenish it. Still not fighting? Gu Fei's figure appeared in the distance. He didn't want to miss such a good show. Humph. Yan Wu and the Limitless Sword Master ignored Gu Fei. They knew that this space was created by Gu Fei, but could this space withstand their power? Gu Fei, on the other hand, was unperturbed. A Buddha bell floated in front of him, emitting a gentle Buddha light. This was a supreme Buddha weapon he had obtained from the Buddha race. With the Buddha bell suppressing this space, it wouldn't be easy for the Limitless Sword Master and Yan Wu to destroy the space here. Boom! At that moment, the two figures collided with each other, and a dazzling divine light erupted. The power of the peerless realm spread out in all directions. The space that Gu Fei had opened up immediately shook. The entire space became very unstable. However, the Buddha bell in front of Gu Fei vibrated gently. The peerless power that spread out was immediately dispelled. At this moment, the two figures moved quickly in the space and collided continuously. Deep, thunderous sounds shook the entire space, and pitch-black cracks appeared in the space. These spatial cracks were like black lightning. They only appeared for an extremely short period of time before disappearing in the next moment. With the Vajra Buddha bell suppressing this part of the void that Gu Fei had opened up repaired itself extremely quickly. At this moment, Yan Wu and the Limitless Sword Master were fighting without restraint. This battle was really exciting. Both Yan Wu and the Limitless Sword Master were the strongest existences in this world. Moreover, both of them were peerless beauties. They were also the most beautiful women that Gu Fei had ever seen. Yan Wu and the Limitless Sword Master's movements were extremely graceful. It was as if they were dancing. However, behind this beautiful action, there was an endless amount of murderous intent. There was no enmity between them. However, this battle was extremely dangerous. If they were not careful, they would be seriously injured. Losing was a small matter, but it would be difficult for them to recover their cultivation. Gu Fei watched the battle from here. In fact, he did not want these two beautiful women to fight to the death. 1. A sword chime rang out. The Limitless Sword Master was finally going all out. Endless sword chi, regardless of whether it was tangible or intangible, exploded from her body and slashed towards Yan Wu. Yan Wu was immediately drowned in a sea of sword chi. The Sword Dao was the Limitless Sword Master's strongest power. With the Limitless Sword Master's current cultivation, everything was a sword in her eyes. Rumble! At this moment, a deafening sound came from within the boundless sword chi. Then, rays of divine light shot out from the boundless sword chi, dissipating the sword chi of the Limitless Sword Master. An exciting show is about to begin. Chapter 55-40. Gu Fei did not want to fight the Limitless Sword Master, so the Limitless Sword Master found Yan Wu. Yan Wu was a supreme existence born from the world's will of flame world. The Limitless Sword Master found her and challenged her. Yan Wu was very displeased. She wanted to give this guy who dared to challenge her an unforgettable lesson. The reason the Limitless Sword Master found Yan Wu was simple. Yan Wu was strong enough. She was the strongest opponent the Limitless Sword Master could find other than Gu Fei. It was impossible for Gu Fei to allow the two of them to fight in the land of Void Realm because billions of living beings would suffer if that happened. One should know that these two were at the peak of the unparalleled realm. For powerhouses of this level, every move they made was extremely powerful. Gu Fei took advantage of the two female Limitless Sword Masters' confrontation to take them by surprise into a space he had opened up. The space he had opened up was not a true world. The two female Limitless Sword Masters fighting here would not affect the Void Realm at all. At this time, Yan Wu and the Limitless Sword Master finally got serious. Sword Destroyer Universe! The sword chi that erupted from the Sword Master of the Wuji sword was extremely powerful. Wherever the sword light passed, it left a black lightning-like spatial crack in the void. This was the power of the peak of the Limitless Sword Dao. Even Gu Fei did not dare to underestimate it. The endless sword energy drowned Yan Wu. But in the next moment, rays of divine light shot out of the endless sword energy and pierced through the air. An extremely strong power exploded from the sea of sword energy and dispersed the Limitless Sword Master's endless sword energy. All of it dissipated into the air. I am a true goddess who looks down on all life. Who do you think you are? Yan Wu soared into the sky and reached out with her right hand, grabbing at the Limitless Sword Master. A huge hand appeared in the sky, enveloping the Limitless Sword Master in an instant. She was born of the world's will. It was not an exaggeration to call her a goddess. The Limitless Sword Master was still calm and composed. To her, who Yan Wu was and what kind of background she had was not important. She only wanted to find an opponent to practice with. Buzz! The moment the Limitless Sword Master's hand came down, he turned into a ray of sword light and pierced through the palm of the opponent's hand. The massive hand formed by Flame Dance immediately dissipated into thin air. The two Supreme Infinite Primes had only fought to a draw. The sword light formed by the Limitless Sword Master made a turn in the air and pierced towards Yan Wu at an extremely fast speed. Humph! Yan Wu sneered. In the next moment, power erupted from her body, turning into countless divine chains that wrapped around the Limitless Sword Master's sword light. She wanted to lock onto the sword light formed by the Limitless Sword Master. However, the sword light formed by the Limitless Sword Master was unstoppable. Wherever the sword light passed, the divine chains that Yan Wu had conjured were all severed. Buzz! Yan Wu had no other choice. She pressed her hands in front of her, and a ball of divine light surged from her hands. It immediately turned into a divine shield in front of her. Clang! The sword light formed by the Limitless Sword Master collided with the divine shield. Although it was blocked, half of the sword light actually pierced through the divine shield. The tip of the sword light was only a few inches away from Yan Wu's forehead. Roar! Yan Wu used all her strength and flung the divine shield aside along with the sword light that had pierced through it. The sword light shook, and the divine shield that had been pierced by the sword light directly exploded. It turned into specks of divine light and dissipated in the air. Yan Wu had felt threatened. With a thought, streaks of divine light suddenly shot out from her body. The streaks of divine light made a turn in the air and shot back towards her. This is... When Gu Fei, who was watching the battle from afar, saw this scene, his eyes lit up. He discovered that each of the divine lights was wrapped in an item. The divine light directly rushed towards Yan Wu. In the next moment, a set of extremely powerful battle armor appeared on Yan Wu's body. Yan Wu extended her right hand and made a grabbing motion in the air. A battle spear immediately appeared in her hand, and a wave of energy so powerful that it made Gu Fei's heart palpitate spread out from her body. This was the first time Gu Fei had seen Yan Wu use battle armor and battle spear. Yan Wu was a being born from the Flame World's will. She was the supreme ruler of the Flame World. Her battle armor was forged from the best divine metal in the Flame World. The battle spear in her hand was also forged from the best divine metal in the Flame World. Wearing this battle armor, Yan Wu's battle strength at least doubled. With Yan Wu's cultivation, if her battle strength doubled, even Gu Fei might not be able to defeat her easily. Gu Fei was slightly nervous when he saw this. Clang! The sword light formed by the everlasting sword master slashed towards Yen Wu. Yen Wu simply raised her left hand and swung it at the incoming sword light. The sword light struck the battle armor on Yen Wu's left arm. Sparks flew, but it was unable to break through Yen Wu's arm. The sword light formed by the limitless sword master was blasted away. Whoosh! Yen Wu made her move. The tip of the battle spear in her right hand transformed into a speck of cold light, accurately piercing the sword light the everlasting sword master had transformed into. Clang! The sound of metal colliding sounded again. The sword light formed by the limitless sword master was once again blown away. You are not my match. Why humiliate yourself? Yen Wu said coldly and arrogantly as she stared at the sword light that the everlasting sword master had transformed into. Is that so? A wave of spiritual will spread out from the limitless sword master's sword light. Buzz. In response to Yen Wu, an unprecedentedly powerful sword wave power erupted from the sword light that the limitless sword master had transformed into. In the next moment, this sword light actually split into countless similarly powerful sword lights. These sword lights filled the entire void, densely packed together. Sigh, why are there always people looking for trouble? Yen Wu shook her head and sighed. In her view, the everlasting sword master's actions were very stupid. Maybe you will be the one being tortured. The everlasting sword master's spirit consciousness rippled again. Really? Then let's see who tortures who. Yen Wu's battle intent surged. The battle armor she wore also shone with divine light. Ancient Tao patterns appeared faintly on the armor. Again. The countless sword lights formed by the limitless sword master immediately pierced towards Yen Wu. The power of these sword lights was incomparable to the power of the sword chi from before. Chapter 55-41. The limitless sword master's cultivation had increased greatly, and the sword light clone was even more powerful. The space that Gu Fei had opened up became very unstable under the impact of the powerful sword wave power. Countless cracks appeared in the space. Endless sword light, every one of them was an incarnation of the limitless sword master. She was the sword, and the sword was her. Facing the limitless sword master's shocking attack, even Yen Wu couldn't help but be moved. Dominator of heaven and earth! Yen Wu roared and also used a big move. Her hands formed a seal in front of her, and countless runes rushed out of her body. They circled around her and turned into a light shield that enveloped her. In the next moment, countless sword lights pierced through from all directions and landed on the ball of divine light around Yen Wu. The divine light around Yen Wu shook violently, and actually blocked the countless sword lights that the limitless sword master had transformed into. Countless sword lights were sent flying. However, these sword lights were the limitless sword master's sword light incarnations. They wouldn't dissipate into the space like other sword lights. As long as the limitless sword master was still alive, these sword lights wouldn't disappear. Even if they were destroyed, they would immediately reform. Countless sword lights were like raindrops, constantly landing on the divine light around Yen Wu's body. Countless cracks appeared in the space around her. A terrifying sword wave power spread out, and the entire space shook. If it wasn't for the Vajra Buddha bell, this limitless Buddhist artifact, suppressing this space, if it was just Gu Fei's power alone, he probably wouldn't be able to suppress this space. Gu Fei's power and the Vajra Buddha bell's limitless Buddhist power barely suppressed this space, preventing it from collapsing. Is that all you've got? Yen Wu's hands continued to form seals. Countless runes turned into divine light of the great Tao and rushed into the divine light around Yen Wu's body. The divine light became stronger and stronger. The limitless sword master's sword light couldn't penetrate Yen Wu's divine light. How is this possible? The limitless sword master was indescribably shocked. This guy was much stronger than she had imagined. With this kind of cultivation, he was probably on par with Gu Fei. Watching from afar, Gu Fei was similarly shocked. Flame Dance's defense was truly powerful. Yen Wu's true form was a divine tree. Her power was the wood element power of the world, but she was the world will of flame world. Theoretically speaking, she could use all the power of flame world as she pleased. In the next moment, Yan Wu's hand seals suddenly changed. Then, numerous mountains appeared out of thin air and smashed towards the countless sword lights. Rumble! An incomparably shocking voice resounded throughout the entire space. This was definitely a true landslide. The Limitless Sword Master's sword light flashed past, directly splitting the mountain ridges in half, and then turning them into pieces. However, Flame Dance didn't stop attacking. A powerful energy spread out from Yan Wu's body. Very quickly, the world around them changed, and a new world appeared in this space. This wasn't the real world, but an illusion of the world. More accurately speaking, it was the scene before Flame World was destroyed. It was a super world. At this time, Yan Wu actually used the origin power of Flame World. Yes, the origin power of Flame World exploded from Yan Wu's body. It was as though a flame world was about to reappear in the space that Gu Fei had opened up. Holy shit, has Yan Wu gone mad? Watching from afar, Gu Fei was speechless. The space he had opened up was starting to collapse under the impact of the origin power of Flame World that exploded from Yan Wu's body. The origin power of Flame World was too powerful. This was the power of the entire Flame World. Yan Wu was the world will of Flame World. She originally represented the entire Flame World, and Yan Wu's strongest power was the origin power of Flame World. Gu Fei's expression was grave. He sat cross-legged in the air and used all his power to activate the Vajra Buddha bell that floated in front of him. Ding! The Vajra Buddha bell rang. Powerful infinite-level Buddha power exploded from the Vajra Buddha bell. The collapsing space immediately stopped collapsing and quickly repaired itself. Do you think I'm invisible? Gu Fei used his full power and used the Vajra Buddha bell to suppress the space he had opened up. At this time, under the cover of Yan Wu's Flame World origin power, the sword lights of the Everlasting Sword Master seemed to be stuck in a swamp and slowed down. Explode! Yan Wu shouted angrily. The origin power of Flame World inside her completely exploded. Bzzz! The void rumbled, and the faint shadow of the super macro world became extremely real, as if it was going to rush out of the void. In the next moment, the countless sword lights of the Everlasting Sword Master exploded and turned into countless sword energies. These sword energies did not dissipate. Instead, they gradually gathered and turned into sharp sword lights again. Inextinguishable sword light? Seeing this, Yan Wu's expression changed. The Everlasting Sword Master was indeed powerful. It would not be easy to kill her. Even if Yan Wu could kill the Everlasting Sword Master, she would not do so. Because Gu Fei was watching from the side. Gu Fei would not let Yan Wu kill the Everlasting Sword Master. Also, Yan Wu had never planned to kill the Everlasting Sword Master from the start. Let's stop here. You are not my match. With a thought from Yan Wu, the Flame World's origin energy erupted once more. She tore open the void and disappeared in an instant. The moment Yan Wu left, the sword light of the Everlasting Sword Master, which had been restrained by the origin power of Flame World, immediately turned into sword light again. Countless sword lights clashed together, and an extremely bright light flashed. The figure of the Limitless Sword Master appeared in the void. The Everlasting Sword Master was slightly weak because the origin power of Flame World was truly powerful. It could actually suppress her sword wave power. This power could threaten her. Yan Wu left and directly broke through the space created by Gu Fei. There was no need to continue this battle. Yan Wu's origin power of Flame World was invincible. Even the Everlasting Sword Master was not her match because Flame World was once a super great world. The power of origin of a super big world was definitely above that of a peak unparalleled realm expert. The Everlasting Sword Master wanted to continue fighting, but since the opponent did not want to fight her, there was no other way. This time, you fought to your heart's content. I am very tired. Gu Fei put away the Vajra Buddha bell and appeared next to the Everlasting Sword Master. Whoosh! The Limitless Sword Master did not say a word. He turned into a sword light and instantly pierced through the space that Gu Fei had opened up and left. Gu Fei was speechless. This Everlasting Sword Master really did not regard himself as an outsider. This space was created casually by Gu Fei. Gu Fei did not plan to keep this space. Seeing that the everlasting sword master had left, he also left. Following Gu Fei's departure, the space collapsed and turned back into primal chaos. Chapter 55-42. Xiao Yu's hunt was still going on. After Gu Fei came out of his space, he directly returned to Nanman Royal Capital. He did not return to the Nanman Palace, but landed outside the city. Then, he planned to walk into the Nanman Royal Capital from the east gate of the Nanman Royal Capital. However, when he came to the east gate, he saw a long queue outside the east gate. What's going on? Gu Fei could not help but frown when he saw the situation. At this time, Gu Fei had already sealed himself. He was just an ordinary demigod now, but his appearance was very young. Young demigods were also rare. But to enter the Nanman Royal Capital now, even a deity realm expert had to obediently walk in from the 4 city gates. Moreover, the people entering the Nanman Royal Capital from the east gate were much more than the people from the other 3 city gates. Get lost, a poor ghost also wants to enter the royal capital? Simply a joke. A loud shout suddenly came from the front. Then, a middle-aged man in ragged clothes was pulled out from the crowd of people entering the city by the city gate guards and directly pushed to the ground. Truly a tiger that has fallen to the plains is bullied by dogs. The middle-aged man was shocked, angry, and unwilling. He was seriously injured and very weak. Moreover, he seemed to have been robbed. There was not even a valuable thing on him. Isn't that Yan Fengshan? He is a deity realm expert, and he actually doesn't even have a piece of high-grade divine crystal to enter the city? In the crowd of people entering the city, many people were whispering. To enter the Nanman Royal Capital, one had to pay money. Moreover, the money was collected according to the number of people. Regardless of whether it was a child or an old man, each person had to pay a piece of high-grade divine crystal or 10 pieces of middle-grade divine crystal. If it was a piece of low-grade divine crystal, then it would be 100 pieces. And a piece of divine crystal generally weighed about a caddy. Tisk, do you think he is still the Yan Fengshan of the past? I heard that Yan Fengshan was seriously injured in the battle with the demonic creatures. It seems that the rumors are true. The current him, not to mention a demigod, even a Khanate realm cultivator can torture him to death. This is really a tiger that has fallen to the plains is bullied by dogs. In the crowd of people entering the city, there were actually many people who recognized Yan Fengshan. Yan Fengshan? This was the first time that Gu Fei, who was queuing up, heard this name. Of course, Yan Fengshan was just a nobody. If it was in the past, Gu Fei wouldn't have paid any attention to him. A piece of trash wants to enter the city? A gate guard sneered disdainfully. You've gone too far. Yan Fengshan stood up from the ground and glared at the gate guard. Haha, so what if I bully you? What can you do to me? The gate guard laughed disdainfully. You! Yan Fengshan became agitated and spat out a mouthful of blood. His injuries were not light. The soldiers guarding the city gates were only at the demigod level. If it was the Yan Fengshan of the past, these guards would not have dared to collect the entrance fee from him. The present was different from the past. After all, he was injured in the battle against the demonic creatures. He did meritorious service in resisting the invasion of the demonic creatures. Can't you make an exception? A cultivator couldn't stand it anymore and said, Who are you? Do you have the right to speak here? If you don't want to enter the city, then get lost. What are you squeaking for? The other guard pointed at the cultivator and scolded arrogantly. The other people in the queue were very unhappy, but they dared not say anything because offending these gate guards would result in a miserable end. When Gu Fei, who was standing in the queue, saw this scene, he couldn't help but be angry. These guys actually dared to be so arrogant and bully other cultivators. Who gave them the courage? Who was the guard at the east gate of the southern barbarian imperial city? When the cultivator saw the gate guard was angry, he immediately cowered. The others all lowered their heads under the gaze of the gate guard. Isn't it just a piece of divine crystal? At this time, a voice sounded. Then, a piece of thing was directly thrown at the feet of the arrogant gate guard. "This is a piece of top-grade divine crystal. Can you let him enter the city?" The voice sounded again. "What?" As soon as the gate guard saw the fiery fist-sized divine boundary stone on the ground, a greedy look appeared in his eyes. When the gate guard saw that the person who threw this piece of top-grade divine crystal was actually a young man in black, and this young man in black was only at the innate realm, his eyes became fierce. "Little guy, are you courting death?" The gate guard leaned over and grabbed the piece of top-grade divine crystal on the ground, then put it into his storage bag at lightning speed. This guy was a demigod. A demigod realm gate guard still had a lot of good things on him. His storage bag was a very important treasure in the eyes of a rogue cultivator. Although these guys were the guards of the city gate, they were not comparable to ordinary guards. During this period of time, the southern barbarians had encountered an unprecedented crisis, and the city gate was the entrance of the southern barbarian imperial city. Therefore, Xiaoya selected demigod realm soldiers from the city guards of the southern barbarian imperial city to guard the city gate. These gate guards relied on their demigod cultivation and Xiaoya's support, so they were used to being arrogant on normal days. Currently, not everyone could enter the southern barbarian imperial city, but the purpose of Xiaoya strengthening the guards of the southern barbarian imperial city was to prevent those with unknown identities from entering the city. However, the guards at the city gate had kept the entrance fee from Littleya. Although divine crystals were very common in the southern barbarian, ordinary cultivators could not casually take out a piece of high-grade divine crystal. Without paying the entrance fee, even the original residents of the city could not enter the city. "Brother, you can't keep it to yourself." Another gate guard came over. "Got it, the old rules, half each." The gate guard who put away the supreme grade divine crystal said with a smile. "Why, you still won't let us enter the city?" The black-clothed young man walked out from the group of people entering the city. "Enter the city?" The two guards looked at each other and suddenly burst into laughter. This black-clothed young man was Gu Fei. He had sealed his cultivation, and the current him was just a Xiantian realm cultivator. "Since you have accepted the divine crystal, you should let us enter the city," Gu Fei said indifferently. "Where is the divine crystal? Why didn't I see it?" The gate guard who took the divine crystal directly reneged on his debt. At this time, all the higher-ups in the city had gone to participate in Xiaoya's hunting game, and no one cared about them. If they did not take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to fish for profits, when would they be able to fish for profits? Moreover, guarding the city gate seemed to be very hard, but it was actually a lucrative position. Now, these two gate guards wanted to fish for a fortune, because they also had to cultivate, and cultivation consumed resources. This divine crystal was something that all the cultivators in the void cultivation world needed. Because using divine crystals to cultivate would yield twice the results with half the effort. "What do you want?" Gu Fei's voice turned cold. "We don't want anything. If you want to enter the city, then you have to pay the entrance fee. 1 high-grade divine crystal per person. If you don't have it, then get lost. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite." The gate guard who took the top-grade divine crystal from Gu Fei pointed at Gu Fei and said sternly. Chapter 55-43. Gu Fei really didn't expect the guards of the southern barbarian imperial city to be so arrogant. Today, he really learned something new. This tall and skinny guard, who was like a bamboo pole, actually took away a piece of top-grade divine crystal under the watchful eyes of everyone, and also didn't allow him to enter the city. This kind of behavior was blatant robbery. Whose territory was this east gate? Gu Fei felt that it was necessary for him to personally rectify it. How could there be such a black sheep in his camp? "What, you guys still haven't scrammed? Could it be that you want us to ask you to scram?" At this time, the gate guard was already very impatient. Another gate guard also walked over. Obviously, if Gu Fei and the guy called Yan Fengshan didn't leave, they would make a move. And the surrounding people waiting to enter the city all retreated in fear. "These two people are going to be out of luck." These city guards are really too much. What can they do? They are the subordinates of the Thousand Beast King, Baron Tiger. Thousand Beast King, Baron Tiger? Although the surrounding people deliberately lowered their voices and whispered, "Who is Gu Fei?" he could clearly hear the words of the surrounding people. Unexpectedly, these arrogant and despotic guys guarding the East Gate were the subordinates of the Thousand Beast King. The Thousand Beast King was one of the highest followers of Gu Fei in the Void Realm. The current Thousand Beast King, Baron Tiger, actually took over his elder brother's position as the Thousand Beast King. Thousands of years ago, Gu Fei led a group of subordinates to rise in power in the Southern Barbarian. The previous Thousand Beast King died in battle, and then Baron Tiger became the new Thousand Beast King. Baron Tiger wasn't at the East Gate right now. He also participated in Xiaoya's hunting game. This was also the reason why the two guys guarding the gate dared to be so arrogant. Because no one cared about them at all. Moreover, this entrance fee was also tacitly accepted by Baron Tiger. If these guys guarding the gate didn't get Baron Tiger's permission, how would they dare to set up a checkpoint at the gate and collect the entrance fee? This so-called entrance fee, in fact, mostly fell into Baron Tiger's pocket. There were so many people going in and out of the East Gate of the Southern Barbaric Imperial City every day, and this entrance fee was a very considerable income. Even the desolate Tiger would be envious. "You want me to scram? That depends on whether you have the ability or not," Gu Fei said indifferently. "Haha!" The two city gate guards burst into laughter when they heard this. The surrounding people also looked at Gu Fei as if they were looking at a monster. This young man was simply courting death. An innate expert challenging a demigod? Was that even possible? "Little brother, let's go!" the middle-aged cultivator named Yan Fengshan said to Gu Fei. In his opinion, Gu Fei was courting death by challenging a demigod with his Xiantian realm cultivation. Yan Fengshan was already very grateful that Gu Fei was willing to step forward. There were many people queuing up to enter the city. But when Yan Fengshan was being bullied by the city gate guards, only Gu Fei dared to step forward. Although the others were very dissatisfied with the city gate guards, they didn't have the courage to step forward. Yan Fengshan didn't want Gu Fei to be killed by these two city gate guards because of this. Because a young Xiantian realm cultivator like Gu Fei had boundless prospects. If he were to die now, then it would be the envy of the heavens. "Hee, don't you think it's too late to leave now?" The tall and thin city gate guard stared at Yan Fengshan and said with a sinister smile. Yan Fengshan was seriously injured, and his cultivation was almost crippled. Any Xiantian realm cultivator could easily defeat him. As a demigod, the city gate guards didn't put him in their eyes at all. "Then what do you want?" Gu Fei looked curiously at the two demigod realm city gate guards. "Break one of your arms, leave behind your things, and then scram," the tall and thin city gate guard said coldly and arrogantly. "Break one of my arms?" Gu Fei smiled disapprovingly. There were actually people in this world who dared to ask him to break one of his arms. These guys were really awesome. "Do you want to do it yourself, or do you want us to help you?" the other city gate guard sneered. "Sigh." Gu Fei shook his head helplessly. These two guys were really unlucky to meet him today. This could be considered as their retribution. "Little guy, you're really looking for trouble," the tall and thin city gate guard said and took a step forward. In an instant, he appeared in front of Gu Fei and reached out his right hand to grab Gu Fei. Just when the city gate guard was about to grab Gu Fei, the city gate guard's vision blurred and he grabbed thin air. "What?" Before the city gate guard could react, he was slapped hard by Gu Fei. Slap! Gu Fei's slap caused the city gate guard to fall to the side. The city gate guard was stunned and fell to the ground, unable to stand up for a while. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. Although there were people everywhere outside the city gate, it was completely silent. Everyone looked at Gu Fei as if they were looking at a monster. "How is this possible? Am I seeing things?" Soon, the city gate was in an uproar. A young man in the innate realm actually slapped a demigod away. How could such a thing happen? This was simply a miracle. An innate realm was definitely no match for a demigod. However, what happened now was beyond everyone's understanding. Even Yan Fengshan, who used to be in the godly state, looked at Gu Fei in disbelief. If he did not see it with his own eyes, who would believe that an innate realm cultivator could actually slap a demigod away? That was a demigod. You! The other city gate guard was scared silly. Who would have thought that such an unbelievable thing would happen? What? Do you want to fight me? Gu Fei looked at the city gate guard coldly. Who are you? Do you know that our Lord Desolate Tiger is favored by the goddess? You dare to go against our Lord Desolate Tiger? The city gate guard directly brought out the Desolate Tiger. However, they did not know that in Gu Fei's eyes, Desolate Tiger was only slightly stronger than an ant. He did not put Desolate Tiger in his eyes at all. If Desolate Tiger saw him, he would probably pee in his pants. Humph, even Desolate Tiger cannot save you, Gu Fei said coldly. Go to hell! At this moment, the tall and thin gate guard who was sent flying by Gu Fei's slap had already stood up from the ground. Then, with a furious roar, he straightened his spear and stabbed towards Gu Fei. Be careful! The middle-aged man called Yan Fengshan flashed in front of Gu Fei. Pooh! The spear directly pierced Yan Fengshan. Gu Fei was stunned. He did not expect that Yan Fengshan would actually sacrifice himself to block this spear for him. Looks like I can't let you guys off. Chapter 55-44. The two demigod soldiers guarding the east gate of the southern barbarian imperial city were too arrogant. They casually swallowed the divine crystals of the people who entered the city and killed people at the drop of a hat. Why were the subordinates of the barbarian tiger all like this? Gu Fei really couldn't understand. How did the barbarian tiger manage the soldiers under him? The demigod soldiers were definitely the core soldiers under the barbarian tiger's command. They were enough to be valued by the barbarian tiger. If it wasn't an emergency, the barbarian tiger wouldn't let the demigod soldiers guard the city gate. Now, the war in the southern barbarian had ended, but there were still sporadic demonic creatures appearing in the southern barbarian territory. Because there were too many demonic creatures that were demonized by the limitless demon lord, many of them were still fleeing. Not only the southern barbarian imperial city, but all the cities in the southern barbarian were still heavily guarded. One must know that the demonic creatures were not to be trifled with. Once the demonic creatures sneaked into the city, it would inevitably cause heavy casualties. Moreover, after the demonic creatures absorbed the vitality of countless living beings, they would become stronger and more difficult to deal with. Therefore, the guards of the city gate had become a very important position. Especially in a place like the southern barbarian imperial city, the city gate guards shouldered the safety of the southern barbarian imperial city. However, the guards of the east gate of the southern barbarian imperial city disappointed Gu Fei very much. These two guards of the east gate bullied the good and even murdered people for money. This made Gu Fei really angry. In his territory, he absolutely couldn't allow such black sheep to exist. Pooh! Blood suddenly appeared. The gate guard that was sent flying by Gu Fei just now actually stabbed Yan Fengshan, the rogue cultivator of the southern barbarian, with a spear. This Yan Fengshan was a character. He was injured in the battle with the demonic creatures. Otherwise, with his god realm cultivation, the city gate guards wouldn't be able to do anything to him. But now, he was seriously injured, and his body was eroded by the demonic energy. His cultivation directly fell from the god realm. The current him was extremely weak. Yan Fengshan grabbed the spear that pierced his body. Little brother, hurry up and leave. He did not know how Gu Fei had sent the city gate guard flying with a slap, but in his opinion, Gu Fei was only a Xiantian realm cultivator, and was no match for a demigod. Once these two guards became ruthless and tried to kill Gu Fei would definitely not be able to block them and would be killed. Can he leave? The other gate guard had already recovered from his shock. The scene of Gu Fei sending the other gate guard flying with a slap had left him inexplicably shocked. However, as far as he knew, how could a young fellow at the innate stage be a match for a demigod? Gu Fei must have caught the demigod realm guard off guard, which was why he fell for it. Therefore, the gate guard wielded his spear and charged at Gu Fei. "Get out of my way!" The tall and skinny gate guard roared angrily and was about to send Yan Fengshan flying with his spear. However, just as the gate guard was about to exert his strength, a hand reached out from the side and grabbed the shaft of the spear in his hand. Then, the spear in the gate guard's hand did not move at all. "You!" The tall and skinny man was really shocked. If he was sent flying by the opponent's unexpected slap just now, then what was going on now? How could he explain it? The tall and skinny man thought he was a demigod and the young man in black was only at the innate stage. No matter what, how could the young man in black be a match for him given his cultivation level? However, the tall and skinny man exerted all his strength, and the spear that was grabbed by the young man did not move at all as if it was a part of the young man's hand. The tall and skinny man broke out in a cold sweat at that moment. How could a young man at the innate stage possess such powerful strength? Before he could react, he blacked out as his right eye was punched. He felt his vision go black and had to let go of the spear in his hand as he staggered backward. Gu Fei pushed the tall and skinny man back with a punch and pulled the spear out of Yan Fengshan's body. "Take this!" Gu Fei threw it to Yan Fengshan. No matter how injured Yan Fengshan was, he would recover completely in a short period of time as long as he took the 9 transformations rebirth pill. "Thank you!" Yan Fengshan did not doubt him and took the pill that Gu Fei gave him right away. Yan Fengshan's pale face immediately turned rosy after he took the pill. The injuries on his body were healing at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. This? Yan Fengshan was extremely shocked when he felt the changes in his body. The demonic aura that had invaded his body was gradually dissipating. His injuries were healing quickly and his strength was increasing continuously. Soon, he had recovered to the demigod stage. He looked at the young man in black in shock. He was really curious about what pill he had just taken to have such a miraculous effect. At that moment, Gu Fei leaped up and stepped on the head of another guard at the gate. He stomped the equally arrogant guard into the ground, leaving only his head exposed. The surrounding people were so shocked that their eyeballs almost fell to the ground. Some of them even forgot to close their mouths. "Are we seeing things? An innate stage beating up a demigod? How is this possible?" Everyone who saw the scene was in disbelief. However, they had no choice but to believe it. That was because the impossible had happened right in front of their eyes. They had seen it clearly. Gu Fei then pointed a finger at the 2 city gate guards, directly crippling their cultivation bases. "I've crippled your cultivation to stop you from doing evil. You're on your own now," Gu Fei said coldly. My cultivation." The 2 guards almost fainted. Their cultivation bases had been destroyed by someone. Without cultivation bases, they were nothing more than cripples. And they knew very well that their Lord of the Thousand Beast City would never keep 2 useless people. Their fate was destined to be tragic. Gu Fei did not manage to kill the 2 of them in the end. At that moment, a series of heavy and orderly footsteps came from within the city. A troop of heavily armored spear soldiers marched out of the city in an orderly manner. A powerful aura emanated from them. Countless people outside the city could feel the immense pressure, and they retreated far away. This troop of soldiers was only a dozen of them, but they gave people the feeling that there were thousands of them. These soldiers were all demigod stage soldiers. The leader of the troop was a true God state warrior. "Boss Lang, help!" As soon as the 2 city gate guards saw the captain, they immediately called out. "What's going on?" Chapter 55-45. Huang Lang was the cousin of the Lord of Thousand Beast City, Huang Hu. He was at the peak of the divine realm and was Huang Hu's right-hand man. Huang Hu was participating in Xiaoya's hunting game, so he wasn't guarding the east gate of the southern barbarian imperial city. However, the east gate of the southern barbarian imperial city couldn't be left unattended, so this heavy responsibility fell on Huang Lang's shoulders. Huang Lang was now the most powerful warrior guarding the east gate. "Boss Lang, help!" When the two city gate guards saw the wild wolf arrive, they immediately shouted. Huang Lang, on the other hand, treated the soldiers under him very well. He ate and lived together with the soldiers, and they called each other brothers. The soldiers under him all called him Boss Lang. It's him, he crippled our cultivation. The two guards stared at Gu Fei fiercely. If looks could kill, Gu Fei would have died many times. You crippled their cultivation? Huang Lang stared at Gu Fei, his pupils constricted. He knew very well what it meant to have one's cultivation crippled in this chaotic world. His two subordinates were already crippled. Although they were soldiers guarding the gate, they were at the demigod realm. In the void realm, demigod realm cultivators were considered experts. In Huang Lang's eyes, demigod realm warriors were the elites of the elites. Losing two demigod realm warriors in such a short period of time infuriated him. That's right. Gu Fei clasped his hands behind his back and said indifferently. Why did you do this? Huang Lang said angrily. Why don't you ask the people around why I crippled them? Gu Fei's tone was still indifferent. Huh! Huang Lang glanced at the people around him. The surrounding people all showed a look of horror, and they all retreated in panic. At this moment Yan Fengshan, who was standing beside Gu Fei, suddenly released a powerful wave of yuan qi. Divine realm? Huang Lang stared at Yan Fengshan. This guy was actually at the divine realm? Little brother, your elixir is really amazing. Yan Fengshan was shocked to the extreme. It was just a medicinal pill, yet his injuries were healed so quickly. After all, he was injured by a demonic creature. Those who were injured by demonic creatures would be invaded by the demonic qi of the demonic creatures. This kind of injury was very difficult to heal. As for Yan Fengshan's injuries, even if an expert were to treat him, it would still take him a year and a half to fully recover. However, Yan Fengshan had only consumed a single medicinal pill and his injuries had actually healed so quickly. It had not even been an hour. Gu Fei smiled and said nothing. So you have a backer? No wonder you're so fearless, Huang Lang said coldly. He thought that the black-robed young man in front of him dared to cripple his two demigod subordinates because he had a god realm expert by his side. Backer? Gu Fei smiled. He didn't need a backer. He was his own backer. However, even if my two subordinates did something wrong, I should be the one to deal with them. Since when was it your turn to take action? Huang Lang said coldly. Is that so? But now that I've taken action, what should I do? Gu Fei said disapprovingly. Take him down and put him in jail, Huang Lang ordered. Yes. The soldiers behind him received the order and immediately surrounded Gu Fei. This young man is going to be unlucky. The surrounding people had already guessed what would happen to Gu Fei. Those who were captured by Huang Lang and put in jail had never come out alive. It was obvious that Huang Lang wanted to kill this black-robed young man. Want to take me down? Gu Fei felt that it was funny. There was actually someone in this world who dared to capture him and put him in jail. What kind of jail in this world could lock him up? Do you think I can't take you down? Huang Lang said disdainfully. So what if this young man was protected by a God Realm expert? He was also a God Realm expert, and he was at the peak of the God Realm. He was much stronger than this God Realm expert. Then take him, Gu Fei said indifferently. I will fight whoever dares to touch him. In a flash, Yan Fengshan appeared in front of Gu Fei and stared at the wild wolf with a murderous look. Ha ha! When the wild wolf saw this, he laughed out loud. You want to fight me? Do you think you are qualified? Huang Lang was arrogant and disdainful. He didn't take this God Realm expert seriously at all. You! Yan Fengshan was shocked and angry. Although he knew that there was a huge gap between him and Huang Lang in terms of cultivation and combat strength, he had to protect this young man. He wanted to repay this debt. If it wasn't for this young man's pills, how could his injuries heal in the blink of an eye? If you know what's good for you, then scram. Otherwise, I will take you down too and put you in jail. Huang Lang stared at Yan Fengshan and said fiercely. Huang Lang, don't go too far. Yan Fengshan said angrily. I am bullying you. So what? Huang Lang was extremely domineering. If the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. I found it strange. They are just two guards of the city gate. How dare they be so arrogant and despotic, snatching treasures and injuring people? So they have a leader like you. Gu Fei's gaze towards the wild wolf instantly turned cold. What did you say? Huang Lang was enraged when he heard that. Isn't that so? Gu Fei's voice also turned cold. At this time, the surroundings were silent. Everyone was looking at Huang Lang. Huang Lang guarded the east gate, and was usually arrogant and domineering. Gu Fei's guess was right. This wild wolf was arrogant and despotic. He was incomparably domineering and unreasonable. Naturally, his subordinates followed suit. None of the people waiting to enter the city dared to speak a word of justice for Gu Fei. They were all afraid of the wild wolf. When the wild wolf became fierce, it was very terrifying. Because behind Huang Lang was Huang Hu, the city lord of Thousand Beast City, a powerful king realm cultivator. Huang Lang had Huang Hu, a venerable king realm cultivator, as his backing. Huang Lang was naturally fearless. Because in the entire southern barbarian imperial city, there were not many people who could make him hesitate. Take them down! Huang Lang roared. The dozen or so demigod warriors who had surrounded Gu Fei and Yan Fengshan immediately held onto their battle spears and rushed towards Gu Fei and Yan Fengshan. Surrender obediently! Otherwise, I'll kill you without mercy! Huang Lang said fiercely. When the people who were watching saw this, they were shocked. Huang Lang really dared to do anything. Even in the southern barbarian imperial city, he didn't have any scruples. Was there no one who could stop him? Huang Lang had already caused a lot of anger in the East Gate. Many people were unhappy with Huang Lang, but they couldn't do anything to him. Chapter 55-46. The southern barbaric imperial city was the center of the entire southern barbaric, the most prosperous place in the entire southern barbaric. In the southern barbaric land, the status of the southern barbaric imperial city was irreplaceable. Whether it was the Shaman era, the barbaric emperor era, or the current Gu Fei era, the southern barbaric imperial city was the center of the entire southern barbaric land. Especially now, the South Barbarians, the West Sea Dragon clan, and the culmination Buddha clan had also taken root here. The number of cultivators and foreign race experts who fled into the southern wilderness was simply innumerable. Therefore, the situation of the entire southern barbarian region was very complicated. At least when Gu Fei returned to the Void Realm, it was very complicated. But now, Gu Fei was back. Then, all the complicated things became not complicated, because everything was nothing in front of Gu Fei, because no one in the entire Nanman could compete with Gu Fei. After Gu Fei returned, some people became complacent. Just like this cousin of the Thousand Beast City's Grand Chieftain, Huang Lang, was very arrogant, thinking that with his cousin Huang Hu as his backing, and Huang Hu's backing was Gu Fei, who would he be afraid of? Thus, at the east gate of the southern barbaric imperial city that the wild wolf guarded, this general that guarded the city gate became the overlord of the east gate. You didn't need to pay to leave the city, but if you wanted to enter the city, you had to pay the entrance fee. This was the rule set by the wild wolves. If you didn't pay the entrance fee, then scram. Some of the people who couldn't stand it were killed by the wild wolf using various methods. Many people were arrested and thrown into prison by him, and then never appeared again. Needless to say, the people who were imprisoned by the wild wolf had all been dealt with by him. Thus, no one dared to go against the wild wolf. They all obediently handed over the entrance fee, not daring to show any dissatisfaction. The other three city gates of the southern barbaric imperial city also followed suit and began to collect entrance fees. Of course, the guards of the other three gates didn't dare act as arrogantly as the wasteland wolf. The guards of the other gates all had some misgivings, not daring to act recklessly. At this moment, at the east gate, General Huang Lang, who was guarding the gate, actually gave an order to his subordinates to capture Gu Fei and throw him into their prison. The wild wolf's subordinates were already very familiar with this sort of thing. "Surrender, or I'll kill you without mercy!" The dozen or so demigod realm warriors roared in unison, and their momentum was not small either. The onlookers were all extremely shocked, and they hurriedly retreated further away from the scene. A large empty space immediately appeared in front of the east gate. "You want me to surrender?" Gu Fei smiled. There were actually people in this world who dared to ask him to surrender right in front of him. These guys were too awesome, too awesome. "Little brother, you don't have to worry. As long as I, Yen Fengshan, am alive, I won't let you be captured by these people," Yen Fengshan shouted as he stood in front of Gu Fei. "Haha, you can't even protect yourself, yet you dare to spout nonsense here?" Huang Lang laughed disdainfully. "Humph, killing one is already breaking even, killing two is already a profit. If I can drag you down with me, that would be a huge profit." Yen Fengshan stared at the wild wolf coldly. "Is that so? I'm afraid that you can't even kill one of them," Huang Lang said as he took a step forward. A powerful pressure immediately burst out from his body, and the Yuan Qi at the peak of the divine realm immediately shrouded Yen Fengshan. "What?" Yen Fengshan was shocked. He didn't expect Huang Lang to be at the peak of the divine realm. The peak of the divine realm was definitely enough to defeat him. "Now you know how powerful I am," Huang Lang said proudly. "Isn't it just a divine realm warrior? How dare you be so arrogant?" Gu Fei's voice was heard behind Yen Fengshan. "Sai, since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Huang Lang waved his hand. The warriors who surrounded Gu Fei and Yen Fengshan immediately took action. They thrust their spears towards the two of them, not holding back at all. Yen Fengshan, the divine realm warrior, was targeted by Huang Lang. "Go to hell!" Yen Fengshan didn't care too much. He waved his hands and dozens of cold lights flew out from his hands, shooting towards the surrounding warriors. "Courting death!" Huang Lang also moved. He pressed his right hand forward, and the void trembled. The cold lights that flew out from Yen Fengshan's hands froze in the void, and then fell to the ground. Yen Fengshan sucked in a breath of cold air. He felt like he had been sealed by a force. Only his eyeballs could move. He couldn't move the rest of his body. He couldn't even move a finger. This was the gap between them. Just like what Huang Lang said, Yen Fengshan didn't even have the right to fight. He couldn't kill them all by himself. "Sigh. You still need me to take action," Gu Fei sighed. At this moment, he had no choice but to take action. "What are you doing?" Just as Gu Fei was about to take action, a voice came from the sky, and then, a figure descended from the sky, landing outside the east gate. "Haha, big brother, you're back? Did you get a reward from Her Highness?" Huang Lang was overjoyed when he saw the person. He laughed, and greeted him. The person who came was Thousand Beast City's city lord, Huang Hu, an early-stage king realm expert. When Thousand Beast City's city lord Huang Hu took the position of city lord, he was not in the king realm, but now that thousands of years had passed, his cultivation had finally broken through to the king realm. Before Gu Fei returned to the void realm, Xiaoya only had a few king realm experts under her command. Naturally, Huang Hu was put in an important position by Xiaoya. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Huang Hu to guard the South Barbarian Imperial City's East Gate. One must know that the East Gate was the head of the South Barbarian Imperial City's 4 gates. "I say, what are you doing? Why are there so many people gathered outside the city?" Huang Hu was in a very bad mood, because in this hunting game that Xiaoya launched, he didn't even get a hare, and was almost killed. He was depressed to the extreme. At this time, there were more and more people gathered outside the East Gate who wanted to enter the city. So many people gathered together, this was not a good thing. Huang Hu didn't want to provoke any trouble now, because there were many people staring at him, and many people wanted to pull him down from his high horse. "Big brother, these 2 guys want to break into the city, and even crippled 2 of my men guarding the city. I'm going to capture these 2 people and put them in prison. Big brother, I suspect that these 2 people have unknown origins. We need to interrogate them properly. Huang Hu said. These two people are really daring, Huang Hu said as he looked at the two people. The moment he saw Gu Fei, he directly swallowed back the word Tian. Master, why are you here? Huang Hu's voice trembled. His legs went soft, and he almost couldn't stand steadily. Big brother, what did you say? Huang Hu still didn't know who he had provoked. Pa! The wild tiger fiercely turned around and ruthlessly slapped the wild wolf's face. The wild wolf spun 3 times on the spot before falling to the ground. Huang Hu was stunned. The surrounding people were also stunned. Chapter 55-47. Outside the east gate of the southern barbarian imperial city, it was silent. Everyone was dumbfounded as they looked at this amazing scene. The Thousand Beast City's Grand Chieftain Huang Hu had actually turned his hand over and slapped his cousin Huang Lang hard across the face, which made everyone's jaws drop to the ground in shock. What's going on? Isn't this desolate tiger supposed to stand up for his cousin? Soon, the surrounding crowd burst into an uproar. Big brother, why did you hit me? Huang Lang was stunned by Huang Hu's slap. He opened his mouth and revealed a few bloody teeth. He looked at Huang Hu in disbelief. The left side of his face was swollen and a palm print was clearly visible. Not only did I hit you, if you weren't my cousin, I would have already killed you with a knife. Huang Hu was furious. His cousin dared to find trouble with his master. This was simply courting death, and it would implicate him. Big brother, you! Huang Lang wanted to say more. The desolate tiger rushed forward and directly punched and kicked the desolate wolf, beating it up. The desolate wolf cried for his parents, and was in an extremely sorry state. What? Do you think you can just beat this guy up? Gu Fei said indifferently. When Huang Hu heard this, a layer of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Little brother, you! At this time, Yan Fengshan could already move. When the desolate tiger ruthlessly slapped the desolate wolf's face, the power that was imprisoning him disappeared. And Yan Fengshan finally knew why Huang Hu beat Huang Lang. It turned out that it was because of this black-clothed youth. This black-clothed youth was not old and his cultivation was only at the Xiantian realm. Why was Huang Hu, a king realm expert, so afraid of this black-clothed youth? Everyone was very curious. But everyone present, except for Huang Hu, the Thousand Beast City Lord, no one had seen Gu Fei before. No one knew that the black-clothed youth in front of them was the Lord of Southern Barbarian. It must be known that Gu Fei had left the Void Realm for too long. It had been thousands of years. For ordinary people, it was unknown how many generations had passed. Moreover, except for the feudal lords of Southern Barbarian, who had the opportunity to see Gu Fei's true face. Kacha! The desolate tiger's right foot stepped on the desolate wolf's left leg, and the sound of bones breaking rang out. The wild wolf immediately squealed like a pig being slaughtered. When the surrounding people saw this, they were shocked. They were incomparably shocked. This desolate tiger was truly ruthless. He actually broke his cousin's calf with a single stomp. Still not enough! Gu Fei was truly enraged this time. There was actually someone who dared to bully the innocent and commit outrages right under his nose. If he didn't punish them severely, wouldn't others follow suit? If this were to continue, what would happen? That was why Gu Fei wouldn't let the wild wolf go so easily. After that, the sound of bones breaking rang out. The desolate tiger showed no mercy, directly making the desolate wolf regret coming to this world. It was unknown how many bones in the desolate wolf's body were broken. All right, Meng Hao said. I wanted to kill him. How about this? Just cripple his cultivation base, and I'll let this matter rest. Also, cancel the entrance fee. If anyone else tries to collect entrance fees or commits any other crimes, kill them. Gu Fei stared at the desolate tiger and said in a deep voice. Yes, master. Hurry up and thank master for sparing your life. The desolate tiger was surprised and happy. He directly grabbed the desolate wolf, who was beaten up beyond recognition, and pressed him to the ground. At this time, how could the desolate wolf still speak? He was pressed down by the desolate tiger and kowtowed to Gu Fei. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were all gloating. The desolate wolf, the tyrant of the East Gate, also had such a day. It was truly satisfying. The desolate tiger actually called this black-clothed youth master. Could he be? Some clever people had already guessed Gu Fei's identity. These people who guessed Gu Fei's identity were all shocked to the extreme. The desolate tiger's master was a legend of the southern barbarians, or even the entire Void Realm. You actually. The rogue cultivator called Yen Fengshan stared at Gu Fei with wide eyes. No wonder the medicinal pill he gave him had such a miraculous effect. It could completely heal his injuries in a short period of time. Swish! In the next instant, Gu Fei's figure disappeared on the spot. No one could clearly see how he left. When Gu Fei appeared again, he was already on the southern barbarian capital's East Gate Street. Cousin, it's not that I'm being ruthless to you. I'm saving you. The desolate tiger looked at the desolate wolf who was panting and groaning in pain on the ground and said indifferently. After the desolate tiger finished speaking, he directly crippled the desolate wolf's cultivation. Roar! The desolate wolf let out a mournful scream and directly fainted. No one would have thought that this desolate tiger would really cripple the desolate wolf. One had to know that Gu Fei had already left. Whether or not to cripple the desolate wolf, wasn't it still up to him? However, the desolate tiger didn't dare to not cripple this cousin of his. When Gu Fei said that he wanted to cripple the desolate wolf, how could the desolate tiger dare to not cripple it? He absolutely didn't dare to play this trick in front of Gu Fei because the consequences would be very serious. Moreover, he couldn't deceive Gu Fei. With Gu Fei's cultivation, he could sense anything that was happening in the entire city with just a thought. Soon, countless people gathered outside the East Gate and began to enter the city in an orderly manner. Everyone who had seen Gu Fei was extremely excited because they actually saw the real Lord of Southern Barbarian. They actually saw a real legend. This was something that small characters like them could boast about for a lifetime. The demigod realm soldiers under the desolate wolf were directly crippled by the desolate tiger and became useless. The desolate tiger began to take action and got rid of all his evil subordinates. One had to admit that this desolate tiger was also a character. He was decisive and ruthless. When the guards at the other city gates received the news, they immediately panicked. This was because the guards at the other city gates were also collecting the entrance fee. Now that the master forbade them from collecting the entrance fee, who dared to disobey? Not only did they not dare to disobey, but they were also afraid that Gu Fei would punish them. One must know that the news of the desolate wolf being crippled had already spread among the guards at the other city gates. The other 3 major city gates immediately cancelled the entrance fee. For the guards at the major city gates, cancelling the entrance fee was a heavy loss. However, they didn't dare to not cancel it. At this time, Gu Fei was walking on the East Gate Street. Seeing that the East Gate Street was bustling with people and carriages, Gu Fei's mood was a lot better. The Southern Barbarian Imperial City was worthy of being the center of Southern Barbarian. Moreover, the people in the city were all cultivators, and there were many powerful cultivators. The shops on both sides of the street were selling all kinds of cultivation resources that cultivators needed. However, the things in these shops were not cheap. As Gu Fei walked, he saw a magnificent restaurant. It had been a long time since he drank wine and ate meat. Gu Fei directly walked towards the restaurant. Stop! Chapter 55-48. The Emperor Gathering Pavilion was the highest-grade restaurant in the southern barbaric imperial city. Moreover, this inn had a long history. During the era when the shaman tribe ruled the southern barbarians, this inn had already existed. During the reign of the barbarian emperor, this place had also become the gathering place for the descendants of the aristocratic families in the southern barbarian royal city. It was said that the barbarian emperor had once held a banquet here to entertain emperor realm cultivators. Of course, this was only a rumor, and no one had ever seen the barbaric emperor invite other emperors to a banquet in the Emperor Gathering Pavilion. However, It was true that there had once been Emperor Realm cultivators living in the Imperial Gathering Pavilion because they had left something here. For example, the plaque above the entrance of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion was the work of an Emperor Realm cultivator. The 3 words, Emperor Gathering Pavilion, were written in flamboyant calligraphy and carried a trace of a powerful aura. It was the trace of Emperor Realm aura left behind when the Emperor Realm cultivator had written those 3 words. Of course, ordinary people wouldn't be able to sense the trace of Emperor Realm aura contained within the 3 words. Only those at the peak of Spirit Realm or half-step Emperor Realm would be able to sense it. At this time, Gu Fei was standing outside the entrance of Jihuang Pavilion. He'd come here because he'd sensed the trace of Emperor Realm aura coming from the plaque on the pavilion's entrance. Interesting. The moment he stood outside the gate of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion, he sensed the aura of many experts in the pavilion. This pavilion was really full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. There were 2 particularly powerful auras inside, and they were actually existences in the Transcendent Emperor Realm. The Transcendent Emperor Realm was an expert in the Eternal Realm. In the Void Realm, the Emperor Realm was equivalent to the Extreme Tao, and the Transcendent Emperor Realm was equivalent to the Eternal Realm. The 2 Transcendent Emperors in the pavilion did not notice Gu Fei's presence because Gu Fei's cultivation was much higher than theirs. Other than the 2 Transcendent Emperor Realm cultivators, there were also 5 Emperor Realm cultivators inside the building. A force like this was enough to dominate an entire region and become a tyrant. But why would these experts be hiding in this restaurant within the southern barbaric imperial city? Gu Fei couldn't help but feel curious. One had to know that there was definitely a demon behind this abnormality. Could it be that these fellows wanted to cause trouble in the southern Man Imperial City? If that's the case, then I can't just ignore it. Where did this brat come from? Scram! At this moment, a young man in green walked out of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion and wanted to chase Gu Fei away. What? Isn't this a place for drinking? Can I come here to drink? Gu Fei glanced at the green-clothed young man and said indifferently. This green-clothed young man had delicate features, but the arrogant and disdainful look on his face made Gu Fei a little unhappy. Was this the legendary snob? Why did he encounter these guys everywhere he went? Previously, he had encountered the incomparably arrogant wild wolf at the East Gate, and now here, he had encountered another fellow who, although not exactly arrogant, was still overbearing. Moreover, no matter how he looked at it, this fellow didn't seem to have a powerful background. He was merely an attendant at the lowest level of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion. If even a waiter was so arrogant, then wouldn't the owner of this place be arrogant? I say, little wimp, why don't you take a look at what kind of place this is? The people we serve here are all people of status. You scram back to where you came from. The green-clothed waiter sized up Gu Fei disdainfully. At this moment, a white-clothed young man walked over to the Emperor Gathering Pavilion, followed by 2 young attendants in green. The waiter of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion immediately greeted the white-clothed young man with a smile on his face. Young Master Jean, you're here, the green-clothed waiter said cautiously. His appearance could only be described with one word: despicable. Gu Fei looked at this scene coldly. The green-clothed attendant's technique of changing his expression had already reached the point of perfection. In front of Gu Fei, the green-clothed attendant was arrogant and haughty, but in front of this white-clothed young man, the green-clothed attendant had a servile expression. All right. The white-clothed young man nodded without saying anything. However, this fellow was indeed a good-for-nothing. The second divine room has been prepared for young Master Jean. Young Master Jean, please, the green-clothed waiter of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion said as he led the way. Don't block the way. Get lost. The green-clothed waiter of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion saw Gu Fei standing in front of the door and couldn't help but say angrily, Little Jean, can anyone enter your Emperor Gathering Pavilion now? The white-clothed young man glanced at Gu Fei and said disdainfully. Gu Fei looked at the white-robed youth. At this moment, he also knew the origin of this good-for-nothing young master. This fellow was actually a member of the sorcerer tribe. This was because this fellow's body was emitting the essence chief fluctuations of the sorcerer tribe's cultivation method. Could this fellow be a descendant of the Witch King of the Witch Tribe? The Witch Tribe was very powerful in southern China. One must know that the Witch Tribe was once the ruler of southern China and had ruled southern China for countless years. Although the Witch Tribe had declined, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. The Witch Tribe was still one of the most powerful forces in southern China. Young Master Jean, don't misunderstand. This fellow doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. He actually wants to enter our Emperor Gathering Pavilion. Am I not going to chase this fellow away? The green-clothed waiter called Little Jean quickly smiled apologetically. This kind of unknown person has no right to enter the Emperor Gathering Pavilion. You'd better chase this fellow away quickly, the white-clothed young man said impatiently. Yes, 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 the green-clothed waiter said as he was about to chase Gu Fei away. Presumptuous! Just at this moment, a voice rang out. Gu Fei looked in the direction of the voice and saw a young man in embroidered clothes walking over. This young man in embroidered clothes was also followed by 2 attendants behind him. Han Feng? The white-clothed young man immediately looked displeased when he saw the person who came. Wu Zhan, what bad things do you want to do again? The young man in embroidered clothes called Han Feng came forward and sneered. Gu Fei noticed that the exposed hand bones of this young man in embroidered clothes called Han Feng were much bigger than ordinary people. Green veins appeared on his hands, giving people a strong feeling. With just a glance, he knew that the cultivation of this young man in embroidered clothes called Han Feng was all in his hands. Humph! It's none of your business, Wu Zhan sneered. If you want to harm people again, then I can't ignore it, Han Feng said coldly. Gu Fei couldn't help but nod his head when he saw this. This young man in embroidered clothes was full of righteousness, which formed a sharp contrast with this hedonistic young man called Wu Zhan. Young Master Feng, don't misunderstand. We just want to chase this country bumpkin away. The green-clothed waiter of Emperor Gathering Pavilion pointed at Gu Fei and said, You want to chase him away? Humph, but I insist on bringing him in, Han Feng said coldly. When the green-clothed waiter of Emperor Gathering Pavilion heard this, his face instantly changed. Chapter 55-49. The southern barbarian imperial city was the center of the entire southern barbarian, and the forces here were complicated. The forces that could have a place in the southern barbarian imperial city all had a great background. The shaman tribe was the native force of the southern barbarian, and most of Gu Fei's forces, besides Gu Fei, were also natives of the southern barbarian. And those who followed Gu Fei back then all had a place in the southern barbarian imperial city. Lunar Divine Fist Han Chong established the Han clan in the southern barbarian imperial city. In the past thousands of years, the Han clan had developed well in the southern barbarian imperial city. Because they had the backing of Gu Fei, no one dared to touch the Han clan. After thousands of years of reproduction, the Han clan had also become a big family in the southern barbarian imperial city. In addition to the Han clan, there was also the Chiu clan, Luo clan, the Red-Browed Eagle King's Red-Browed Mansion, the Thousand Beast City's Desolate Tiger's Thousand Beast Mansion, the Heavenly Ape Tribe's Heavenly Ape Mansion, and the Fire Bear Tribe's Fire Bear Mansion. These were the 3 families and 3 mansions of the southern barbarian imperial city. These 3 families and 3 mansions were new forces that had developed in the southern barbarian imperial city in the past thousands of years. If the new people wanted to stand out, the old people could only scram. The rise of the 3 families and 3 mansions had squeezed out many of the original forces in the southern barbarian imperial city. Because the southern barbarian imperial city was only so big, the rise of the 3 families and 3 mansions would naturally squeeze out the original forces. In this process, there was no lack of open and secret struggles. However, in the southern barbarian imperial city, only the shaman tribe dared to fight with these 3 families and 3 mansions. But now, after the Limitless Demon Lord's Limitless Demon Army attacked the city, the southern barbarian imperial city's Luo clan was unlucky because the Saber King Luo Lai had betrayed Gu Fei. Luo Lai escaped and was then killed by the Black Dragon King, Qiu Qianjian, and Fierce Tiger King. but the Luo clan didn't have the ability to escape the city. Of course, since Luo Lai wanted to betray Gu Fei, he naturally made sufficient preparations. When the demonic creatures besieged the southern barbarian imperial city's Luo clan, it was almost empty. All the core disciples of the Luo clan were secretly sent away by Luo Lai. However, the Luo clan had quite a few businesses in the southern barbaric imperial city. This was a piece of tempting fat meat, and the other forces in the southern barbaric imperial city were all incomparably envious. However, at that moment, all the forces in the city did not dare to act rashly. Even the shaman tribe was the same, because things were different now. Gu Fei had returned. So, the other powers of the southern barbaric imperial city could only be envious, and no one dared have any ideas about these businesses of the Luo clan at this time. If nothing unexpected happened, the Luo clan's businesses would naturally be disposed of by Gu Fei's faction. External factions would definitely not be able to take advantage of it. Naturally, there was no need for Gu Fei to bother about these matters. There would naturally be people who would take care of them. And at this time, Gu Fei, this hands-off shopkeeper, was in front of the most famous restaurant in the southern Man imperial city, Gathering Emperor Pavilion, and was looked down upon by a small waiter here. Then, a disciple of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Zhan, came. This Wu Zhan was a spoiled brat. He looked down on a country bumpkin like Gu Fei. The waiter of Gathering Emperor Pavilion actually wanted to chase Gu Fei away. Just as the waiter of Gathering Emperor Pavilion was about to chase Gu Fei away, Han Feng of the Han clan arrived. Han Feng's father was Han Chong of the Lunar Divine Fist. Although he looked like a youth, he had actually already cultivated for hundreds of years. His cultivation had long broken through to the divine realm. Among the disciples of the aristocratic families in the southern barbaric imperial city, Han Feng's cultivation and strength were considered not bad. Han Feng's face was full of righteousness. In the eyes of Gu Fei, he was naturally many times stronger than that spoiled brat Wu Zhan. Today, Gu Fei could be considered to have witnessed the elegance of the disciples of the aristocratic families in the southern barbaric imperial city. Han Feng and Wu Zhan were sworn enemies. This was well known among the disciples of the aristocratic families in the southern barbaric imperial city. Han Feng could not stand Wu Zhan's actions. Among the disciples of the aristocratic families in the southern barbaric imperial city, there were really not many who dared to directly criticize Wu Zhan, and Han Feng was one of them. Han Feng, it's not like I want to chase this country bumpkin away. Why are you looking for trouble with me? Wu Zhan said angrily to Han Feng. I just don't like you. So what? Han Feng sneered. You! Wu Zhan was instantly enraged, but he immediately suppressed the anger in his chest. Now that Gu Fei had returned, the Han clan was going to soar. It was not worth offending this guy at this time. Thinking of this, Wu Zhan could only endure. You win! Wu Zhan directly raised his middle finger at Han Feng, then angrily strode into the Emperor Gathering Pavilion with his two followers. Ha ha, Wu Zhan, why are you afraid? Han Feng laughed. Wu Zhan ignored Han Feng and quickly entered the Emperor Gathering Pavilion, disappearing from everyone's sight. Brother, do you really want to go in and take a look? Han Feng glanced at the door of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion, then said to Gu Fei. Whatever. Gu Fei said indifferently. Han Feng looked at Gu Fei strangely. This seemingly ordinary young man in black did not seem to be simple. Intuition told Han Feng that this young man in black might have some background, because he noticed that the young man in black was very calm from the beginning to the end. I have wine, how about a drink? Han Feng said to Gu Fei. Sure. Gu Fei agreed immediately. In fact, he also wanted to see what kind of place this Emperor Gathering Pavilion was. One should know that there were many experts hidden in the Emperor Gathering Pavilion. Then let's go! Han Feng led the way and walked into the Emperor Gathering Pavilion with Gu Fei. This Emperor Gathering Pavilion was not a place that anyone could enter, but under Han Feng's lead, no one dared to stop them. The attendant who wanted to chase Gu Fei away did not dare to do so. One should know that the Han clan's power in Nanman Imperial City was not small. Behind the Han clan was Gu Fei. At this time, who dared to provoke Gu Fei. Just now, the news that Gu Fei had subdued the limitless demon lord had already spread in the city. The whole city was in an uproar, and countless experts were shocked. The southern barbarian imperial palace was decorated with lanterns and banners. Xiaoya and the others were ready to celebrate. The limitless demon lord had submitted to Gu Fei. In this void realm, who else could be Gu Fei's opponent? Now, Gu Fei was not only the lord of Nanman, but even if he wanted to be the lord of the entire void realm, it did not seem to be a difficult task for him. This was also the reason why Wu Zhan had to endure. Moreover, Wu Fang, one of the 8 witch kings, also participated in the rebellion in Nanman Imperial City. Wu Fang was already dead, and the entire witch tribe was still in a panic, fearing that Gu Fei would kill them. The people of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion were naturally clear about the situation in Nanman, and even the entire Void Realm. How would the attendant in green dare to stop Han Feng? Entering the Emperor Gathering Pavilion, Gu Fei found that the space in the hall of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion was actually very large. The decoration was antique, and there was a staircase that led to the next floor. Han Feng and Gu Fei walked directly to the staircase. They went straight to the 7th floor of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion. When they passed by the second room with the word God, Wu Zhan's voice came from the room. Chapter 55-50. The Han clan and the sorcerer tribe in Nanman Royal City were at odds with each other. Because the sorcerer tribe was a local force, and Gu Fei's force was a new force. The Han clan belonged to Gu Fei's camp, and the Han clan was also a new force in Nanman Royal City. There were many conflicts between the new forces and the old forces. Although the sorcerer tribe did not dare to cause trouble openly, they secretly caused trouble for the Han clan and the other clans. Han Feng was the 2nd generation of the Han clan in Nanman Royal City, but he was a righteous person. He was not a playboy who only knew how to eat, drink, and have fun. Wu Zhan was from the sorcerer tribe, and his father was the head of the 8 kings of the sorcerer tribe, the Great Witch King. This was the source of Wu Zhan's confidence. His father was the Great Witch King. Han Feng, that bastard, is too despicable. Sooner or later, I will teach him a lesson. Just as Han Feng and Gu Fei passed by the 2nd room of the Jihuang Pavilion, they heard Wu Zhan's roar coming from the room. Wu Zhan was very unhappy. If not for Gu Fei's return, what was the Han clan? Before Gu Fei's return, the sorcerer tribe and Xiaoya divided Nanman equally. Even the West Sea Dragon tribe and the Heaven Buddha tribe, these external forces did not dare to provoke the sorcerer tribe. But now was different from the past. As soon as Gu Fei returned, among all the forces in Southern Barbarian, Gu Fei's force stood out and directly suppressed all the forces in Southern Barbarian to the point that they couldn't lift their heads. It could not be helped. The cultivation world was so realistic. Whoever had the hardest fist was the boss. Hence, the current Wu Zhan had nowhere to vent his anger. After Han Feng heard Wu Zhan's words, he stopped outside the door. Bam! In the next moment, he jumped up and kicked the door of the 2nd VIP room with the word God on it. The hard green ironwood door was directly kicked inwards by Han Feng, and a burst of exclamations and curses came from the room. That bastard did it! Wu Zhan's angry voice sounded. I did it, what do you think? Han Feng strode in. Gu Fei touched his nose and followed him in. Han Feng's 2 attendants stood outside the door, blocking the attendants of the Jihuang Pavilion who rushed over after hearing the commotion. Who dares to make trouble here? A furious roar rang out, and a powerful figure appeared outside the 2nd VIP room with the word God written on it. Young Master Feng! One of Han Feng's followers glanced at the newcomer and said indifferently. What? The newcomer was originally aggressive, but after hearing Han Feng's words, he couldn't help but be startled. Han Feng was a frequent customer here, and who in the entire pavilion didn't know him? As soon as he heard that it was Han Feng, the newcomer immediately cowered. The current Han family was no longer the Han family of the past. With the return of Gu Fei, the power and influence of Gu Fei's subordinates also rose. Who would dare to offend them? Han Feng, don't go too far. Wu Zhan's roar could be heard from the second VIP room. What's the matter? Young Master Zhan, you only dare to be arrogant behind people's backs, but you're a coward in front of others? In the room, Han Feng sneered. F***ck, I can't take it anymore. Wu Zhan was driven mad by Han Feng. He didn't care about anything else, and just wanted to beat up the despicable guy in front of him. He directly pounced towards Han Feng. Haha, you coward, do you think I'm afraid that you have teeth to bite me? Han Feng directly went up to him. Bam! The two fists smashed into each other in an instant, resulting in a dull sound of impact. Go to hell! Wu Zhan sneered, and with a jerk of his right arm, he was about to send Han Feng flying. However, when his fist force exploded, he was shocked to find that his opponent was as still as a mountain. This was unbelievable. Wasn't this guy in the early stages of the godly state? However, just as Wu Zhan was in shock, he only felt a strong force coming from his opponent's fist towards him. It was unstoppable. In the next moment, the sound of bones breaking traveled into Wu Zhan's ears. This was definitely not his opponent's fist being broken, but his arm bone being broken by his opponent's fist force. This was because he felt a sharp pain coming from his right arm. Wu Zhan felt his vision darken, and he almost fainted from the pain. Then, his feet left the ground involuntarily, and he violently smashed into the wall behind him. His entire body was stuck to the wall, and then he slid down the wall like a pile of mud. How is this possible? Impossible! Wu Zhan was completely dumbfounded, and he continuously coughed out blood. He was seriously injured. Do you think that I am still in the early stages of the godly state, and that you can send me flying with one punch? Han Feng stared at Wu Zhan, who was paralyzed on the ground, and said in disdain. Wu Zhan was the son of the great Witch King, and his cultivation had already reached the middle stages of the godly state. Han Feng was right. Although Wu Zhan didn't dare to kill Han Feng, he still wanted to beat up his opponent. However, the situation took a huge turn. He failed to beat up Han Feng, and instead, he was sent flying by Han Feng's punch. Wu Zhan's two followers were already stunned, and they stood at the side, trembling in fear. They didn't dare to attack Han Feng at all. Your cultivation has actually broken through to the middle stages of the godly state. Wu Zhan stared at Han Feng in fear. Wrong, it's the profound godly state, Han Feng said proudly. What? Only then did Wu Zhan realize that this guy, who he originally didn't care about, was actually so powerful, and his cultivation had actually soared from the early stages of the godly state to the profound godly state. How was this possible? Han Feng didn't even care about Wu Zhan at all. The tables had really turned. You must be shocked, haha! Han Feng was very proud. He had actually waited for this day for a long time. He had long wanted to teach this wastrel of the sorcerer tribe a lesson. Until today, he finally found the opportunity to do so. So you like to play dumb? Gu Fei, who was standing behind Han Feng, suddenly said. Playing dumb? Wu Zhan, who was paralyzed on the ground, was so agitated that he spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, Wu Zhan finally understood why Han Feng's cultivation had soared from the early stages of the godly state to the profound godly state. It turned out that Han Feng had been hiding his cultivation all along. You trash, do you think you are very powerful? In my eyes, you are just a piece of trash, Han Feng said coldly. You! Wu Zhan was so angry that he spat out blood again. Han Feng, you are so impressive! At this moment, a disdainful voice came from outside. Gu Fei turned around and saw a person striding in from outside. This person was tall and muscular. He was an extremely strong bald young man. This bald young man exuded a strong aura, and the murderous aura he exuded was even more frightening. This person looked like a devil, and was definitely not to be trifled with. Another one looking for a beating? Han Feng laughed when he saw the person. Chapter 55-51. Baldy Hui, it's you? Han Feng's eyes turned cold as soon as he saw who it was. This bald man was very powerful. His whole body was filled with a vast and mighty murderous aura. He was actually in existence in the profound God realm. It was not easy to condense his murderous aura. The powerful evil chi proved that this bald man was ferocious and bloodthirsty. It must be known that this guy's evil chi was not formed overnight. One could imagine how many people had died in his hands. When Du Fei saw this bald man, he could not help but frown. This guy was so young, but he already had such a strong aura. If he was allowed to grow, many people would die in his hands. Wu Hui was a ruthless figure in the sorcerer tribe. He was also an expert who had risen rapidly in the sorcerer tribe in the past hundreds of years. Many people in the sorcerer tribe thought highly of Wu Hui and thought that he was the most promising young man to break through to the king realm. There were more than 8 king realm experts in the sorcerer tribe. However, the 8 witch kings represented the 8 most powerful witch kings in the sorcerer tribe. The Witch King was a title in the sorcerer tribe. Not everyone could get the title of Witch King. Brother Hui, this Han Feng is too despicable. You have to help me take revenge. Wu Zhan, who was paralyzed on the ground, said to the person who came with tears and snot. Humph, you useless thing. You don't know how to cultivate and do stupid things. Now you have learned your lesson. Wu Hui scolded. Wu Zhan was speechless from Wu Hui's scolding. Baldy Hui, are you going to stand up for this useless thing? Han Feng sneered. What do you think? Although he is useless, the sorcerer tribe is not a pushover. Baldy Hui stared at Han Feng with a murderous look. Then you have to stand up for this useless thing. Is it worth it? Han Feng looked at Wu Hui and said playfully. It's up to me whether it's worth it or not. Wu Hui said coldly. Both of you, please give me some face. Don't fight here? We have a dueling platform specially prepared for our guests. If both of you want to fight, you can do it on the dueling platform. At this moment, an incomparably pleasant voice rang out, and a masked woman in white appeared outside the door. The masked woman in white was shrouded in a layer of hazy radiance. She looked incomparably holy, as if she was not a person of the mortal world. Of course, in the void realm, existences above the god realm were no longer mortals. They were high and mighty gods. Without a doubt, this masked lady in white was definitely an existence above the divine realm. Because only an existence above the divine realm could have such an extraordinary temperament. Hee hee! Wu Hui chuckled and said, I naturally have to give face to Goddess Yanling. He clearly knew the background of this white-clothed masked woman and did not want to offend her. Wu Hui turned around and said to Han Feng, The one with the surname Han, do you dare to enter the dueling platform? If you admit defeat, then kowtow out to me and bark like a dog, and I'll let you go. How about that? What did you say? Han Feng was furious when he heard this. This guy actually wanted him to kowtow to him. Barking like a dog? This was simply going too far. I don't think you have the guts to enter the dueling platform. How about this, is this person your friend? The two of you can fight him together. Wu Hui glanced at Gu Fei and said. Gu Fei was amused when he heard this. This guy did not even know who he was talking to. If Gu Fei revealed his identity, this guy would probably pee in his pants. Who in the entire void realm would dare to disrespect Gu Fei? This Wu Hui was just a little guy at the profound divine realm. In the eyes of Gu Fei, even the high and mighty sorcerer kings of the sorcerer tribe were like ants. Are you kidding me? I alone am enough to deal with you. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Han Feng was infuriated by this arrogant guy. Haha, is that so? Then please lead the way, Goddess Yanling. Wu Hui laughed. What he said just now was largely to provoke Han Feng. However, although Han Feng knew that this was Wu Hui's provocation, he was still young and impetuous after all. He actually wanted to fight Wu Hui on the dueling platform of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion. This dueling platform was not a good place. Wu Hui and Han Feng had only heard that there was a dueling platform in the Emperor Gathering Pavilion, but they did not know where this dueling platform was in the Emperor Gathering Pavilion. The masked woman in white turned around and led the way. Gu Fei pondered for a moment before following them. This was because he sensed that the big shots in the Emperor Gathering Pavilion were paying attention to them with divine sense. There were 2 transcendent emperors and 5 great emperors hidden within the Imperial Gathering Pavilion. These fellows were not kind people. Once these fellows made a move in the Southern Man Imperial City, it would definitely cause a lot of casualties. Gu Fei did not want the Southern Man Imperial City to be in chaos again. It was necessary to find out the origins of these guys. Because these experts were people Gu Fei had never seen before, it was the first time he sensed their aura. These were existences that even Gu Fei did not know about. The Void Realm was not big, but it was not small either. No one knew how many experts were hidden in the Void Realm and how many secrets were hidden. These people would not appear in the Southern Man Imperial City for no reason. That was because there was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. Everyone did everything with a purpose, especially in the world of cultivation. No one would do something pointless. What was the background of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion? This was what Gu Fei was curious about. Moreover, it was absolutely impossible for these guys to do anything under his nose. At this time, under the lead of the white-robed goddess Yanling, they actually came to the top floor of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion. Haha! I didn't expect that I, Wu Hui, would be so lucky to come to the top of the legendary Emperor Gathering Pavilion. Wu Hui looked at the colossal arena in front of him and laughed out loud in excitement. The top of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion was actually a place like a coliseum. In the center was a high platform. A semicircular light cover enveloped the entire high platform, and around the high platform were the audience seats. Gu Fei glanced at this place. This place could accommodate at least tens of thousands of people to watch the battle together. Who would have thought that there would be such a place in the Southern Man Imperial City? Obviously, this was the dueling platform of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion. However, it was more appropriate to call it a dueling arena. Your Highness! At this time, an old man with messy hair suddenly appeared in front of everyone. Start the dueling platform. Goddess Yanling directly ordered the disheveled old man. Yes. The disheveled old man glanced at the crowd and disappeared in an instant. Among the people present, only Gu Fei could see how this guy disappeared. Han Feng and Wu Hui were both taken aback. This Emperor Gathering Pavilion was really full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. At this time, the light cover that enveloped the high platform slowly separated to both sides. Both of you, please! Chapter 55-52. Gu Fei was really touched. The waters of the southern barbarian royal city were really deep, at least much deeper than he had imagined. It had been hard on Xiaoya all these years. After all, he had disappeared for thousands of years. It was not easy for Xiaoya to gain a foothold in the southern barbarian. Of course, it was not that Xiaoya did not have any helpers. Long Xiao and Yu Xian were Xiaoya's junior sisters. Behind Long Xiao was the entire West Sea Dragon clan. The old dragon emperor of the West Sea Dragon clan was an emperor who had dominated the Void Realm for countless years. Yu Xian's background was even greater. She was half of the Limitless Sword Master and the ancestor of the Sky Culmination clan. There was no doubt that the Sky Culmination clan was powerful. Then, the Sky Buddhist clan was also on good terms with Gu Fei. The ancestor of the Sky Buddhist clan was also a famous expert in the Void Realm. It was also because of these forces that Xiaoya could gain a foothold in the southern barbarian. However, it was not an easy task to unite these forces. It could only be said that Xiaoya was too capable. However, these were only things on the surface. Today's Imperial Gathering Pavilion was something that happened in the dark. At this time, Xiaoya was still continuing her hunting game. Gu Fei came to the dueling platform at the top of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion. He did not expect that there would be such a mysterious force in the southern barbarian royal city. The top of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion turned out to be a place like a coliseum. At this time, the semicircular light shield that enveloped the dueling platform separated to both sides. Weren't you two incompatible like fire and water just now? Are you scared now? Goddess Yanling said indifferently. Wu Hui's face turned red and he said, There is no such word as scared in my dictionary. As he said this, he jumped up and landed directly on the dueling platform. Han Feng, what I said before still stands. As long as you kowtow to me and bark like a dog, you can get lost, Wu Wei said arrogantly to Han Feng, who was outside the dueling platform. Humph! Han Feng sneered. His feet pushed off the ground and he also jumped up and landed on the dueling platform. You have guts! On the dueling platform, Wu Wei gave Han Feng a thumbs up. I've had enough. From now on, I'm going to take care of you bastards one by one, Han Feng said loudly. Is that so? Then come and teach me a lesson, Wu Wei mocked. It was a battle of life and death on the dueling platform. Since the two of them had stepped onto the dueling platform, it was likely that only one of them would walk out of the dueling platform alive. At this time, Gu Fei found a seat and sat down. Moreover, he noticed that there were people coming in from all the entrances of the arena. After those people came in, they found a place to sit quietly. Obviously, many people in the Emperor Gathering Pavilion had received the news. The originally empty dueling arena was gradually filled with more people. These guys were just here to watch the show. However, these guys were very quiet, and there was no conversation between them. This made Gu Fei feel a little surprised. Who were these people? However, under the detection of Gu Fei's divine telekinesis, the aura of the two supreme emperors and the 5 Emperor Realm experts in the Emperor Gathering Pavilion did not move. They were still in their original places. Who was Gu Fei? He was an existence of the Peerless Realm. Under the coverage of his divine telekinesis, this mysterious Emperor Gathering Pavilion had no secrets at all. He was just curious about where this force in the Emperor Gathering Pavilion came from. Gu Fei already smelled a trace of conspiracy. However, he was very disdainful of these crafty plots. Because in the face of absolute power, no matter how crafty they were, it was useless. At this time, on the dueling platform, the aura of Wu Hui and Han Feng was rising rapidly. Two great God-state experts were confronting each other. It had to be said that Han Feng had hidden his strength before. Before Gu Fei returned, he could only hide his strength. Otherwise, he would not even know how he died. Before Gu Fei's return, all the major forces in the south had their own areas. Although the major kings nominally obeyed Xiaoye, they actually did not take her seriously. If Xiaoye's subordinates' performance was very heaven-defying, they would be targeted by others, and then they would be secretly killed. As for who killed them, no one knew. Under such circumstances, Han Feng could only hide his cultivation. This trick was indeed useful. However, Han Feng did not need to endure anymore. In his words, he had long endured enough. Hence, when he attacked Wu Zhan, he did not hold back anymore. You're not going to fight? Goddess Yanling sat down on the seat next to Gu Fei. If I fight, you guys won't have a show to watch. Gu Fei glanced at Goddess Yanling and said, What? Goddess Yanling was stunned when she heard this, but she immediately understood. This guy was very arrogant, but no matter how she looked at him, he was just a Xiantian cultivator. Above the Xiantian stage was the divine realm. A puny Xiantian cultivator was not worthy of Goddess Yanling's attention. However, this black-robed youth gave her a mysterious feeling. This black-robed youth might have a great background. Goddess Yanling was very confident in her hunch. However, no matter how she guessed, she would never have thought that the black-robed youth sitting next to her was the legendary figure from the Void Realm. After all, no one would have thought that Gu Fei would appear in the Imperial Gathering Pavilion. It's not good to be young and frivolous, Goddess Yanling said in a serious tone. Is that so? Gu Fei smiled. He was not young anymore. It did not seem to be a bad thing to be frivolous. Moreover, he was not being frivolous. In his eyes, a divine realm cultivator was just like an ant. He did not even need to do anything. As long as he released the seal on his body and released the aura of an infinite prime, Wu Hui would die. It was impossible for a divine realm cultivator to withstand Gu Fei's infinite prime aura. Their body and soul would be destroyed in an instant. Seeing that Gu Fei did not care, Goddess Yenling did not say anything more. Moreover, the two Divine Realm experts on the dueling platform had already made their moves. The two figures moved quickly on the dueling platform as they fought fiercely. The dull sound of vitality colliding constantly resounded from the dueling platform and resounded throughout the entire arena. Cultivators at the profound God State realm could be considered as masters. Gu Fei was not interested in such a duel at all. Instead, he paid attention to the people who had entered the dueling platform to watch the battle. He discovered that among these people, there were men and women, young and old, all of them were at the Divine Realm. There were dozens of Divine Realm experts sitting quietly in the spectator stands around the dueling platform to watch the battle. There was no communication between these people, and no one talked to each other. Gu Fei became even more curious. What was the background of these people? Chapter 55-53. The Emperor Gathering Pavilion was originally a restaurant, but it had been controlled by a mysterious force at some point in time. No one knew where this force came from. The force behind the Emperor Gathering Pavilion was very mysterious, and they were very low-key. They had never done anything out of line. Even when the boundless demon lord was fighting in the south, the people in the Emperor Gathering Pavilion still had no intention of making a move. The mysterious force behind the Emperor Gathering Pavilion also had no intention of coming out. Gu Fei was very curious about who these guys were. At this time, on the dueling platform at the top of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion, two figures were moving quickly and fighting fiercely. On the dueling platform, it was a battle of life and death. Therefore, Han Feng and Wu Hui did not hold back, nor would they show mercy to each other. Because either of them wanted to die. Boom! Bam! A dull collision sound was heard. The two experts at the profound divine realm were fighting against each other. The power of the profound divine realm spread out from the dueling ring. However, these forces were blocked by the power of the formation on the dueling platform, and it did not affect the audience. At this time, there were more and more people in the audience. King Realm? Gu Fei suddenly saw a middle-aged man walking in from the entrance. This person was actually a King Realm expert. This King Realm expert was very low-key. He was dressed in a green robe, slender, fair, and beardless. He did not have any domineering aura, just like an ordinary person. However, no matter how this person concealed his cultivation and aura, in the eyes of Gu Fei, he had nowhere to hide. Gu Fei was a little surprised by the middle-aged man's arrival. Han Feng and Wu Hui were only at the divine state. Why was this King Realm expert interested in this battle between divine state experts? A King Realm divine king was invincible to a divine state expert. This middle-aged man was not an ordinary King Realm expert, he was at least at the middle stage of the King Realm. If he wanted to kill Han Feng and Wu Hui, it would be a matter of a snap of his fingers. Are you Gu Fei? The King Realm expert came to the seat next to Gu Fei and said something that even surprised Gu Fei. What? When Goddess Yenling heard this, she almost jumped out of her seat in shock. Are you Gu Fei? Yenling looked at the black-robed young man in front of her in shock. If you say I am, then I am, Gu Fei said indifferently. The middle-aged god king had only asked probingly. Who would have thought that the black-clothed youth would actually admit that he was Gu Fei? This shocked the middle-aged god king to the extreme. He widened his eyes and stared at Gu Fei in disbelief. What? Scared by me? Gu Fei smiled. For a moment, both Goddess Yenling and the middle-aged divine king were at a loss. Because no one would have thought that Gu Fei would directly acknowledge his identity. The moment Gu Fei admitted his identity, the auras of the two supreme emperors in the Emperor Gathering Pavilion fluctuated. I don't want to be disturbed, Gu Fei said. Yes. The middle-aged divine king immediately turned around and left in a panic. The others were still watching the battle, as if they had not heard Gu Fei's words at all. Goddess Yenling looked around and could not help but be shocked. The people in the audience were all above the divine realm, but no one had heard Gu Fei's words. Needless to say, this was definitely Gu Fei's doing. Soon, the big shots in the Emperor Gathering Pavilion could not sit still. Some directly activated the teleportation formation and left, while others stayed and watched quietly. Gu Fei sensed that 3 of the 5 Emperor Realm experts had left, while the remaining 2 did not leave. One of the 2 Supreme Emperors also left. These Emperor Realm and Supreme Emperors were not people Gu Fei was familiar with. They were all people who appeared out of nowhere. It seemed that the force behind the Emperor Gathering Pavilion was not to be underestimated. Although Gu Fei sensed the movements of the experts in the Emperor Gathering Pavilion, he did not intend to make a move. With his current cultivation, it was beneath him to deal with these small fries. Boom! At this moment, a loud sound came from the dueling ring. 2 figures flew out and hit the light shield of the dueling ring. They then bounced back and fell to the ground. Has the winner been decided? Goddess Yanling said in surprise. Both sides have been injured, Gu Fei said indifferently. With his cultivation, he could tell at a glance who was stronger and who was weaker. The 2 of them were almost on par with each other, so it would not be easy to determine the winner and loser. It was within Gu Fei's expectations that Han Feng and Wu Hui would end up with injuries on both sides. Both sides have been injured? Goddess Yanling was shocked when she heard this. Was this young man in black really the legendary figure of the Void Realm, Gu Fei? In fact, she still did not believe it. This was because the young man in black in front of her was too ordinary. She sensed that this young man in black was only at the Xiantian realm. How could he be the legendary Gu Fei? One had to know that Gu Fei was a legend in the Void Realm, an invincible existence. Han Feng knelt on one knee, and a drop of blood dripped on the ground. He stared at Wu Hui, who was also kneeling on one knee. Han Feng, you're really good. You can actually hurt me. Wu Hui coughed out a mouthful of blood. Baldy Hui, your bald head is harder than divine iron. Han Feng sneered. Don't call me Baldy Hui. I hate it when people call me Baldy Hui. Wu Hui roared. I'll call you that. Baldy Hui, what can you do to me? Han Feng yelled at Wu Hui. You! Wu Hui was so angry that he coughed out another mouthful of blood. You what? Han Feng raised his middle finger at Wu Hui. Kill! Wu Hui roared angrily. He leaped up from the ground and pounced towards Han Feng ferociously. Kill! Han Feng also roared and pounced on Wu Hui. The 2 figures collided in an instant. The 2 of them fought until their eyes turned red and they fought with all their might. Blood spilled on the dueling platform. However, both of them were still injured. When they separated again, both of them were weak, and their bodies were stained with blood. If they continue to fight, they will both die in the dueling platform, Goddess Yanling said to Gu Fei. Is that so? Gu Fei said noncommittally. He had no intention of stopping them. Since they were on the dueling platform, they should be prepared to die in the dueling platform. Gu Fei would not save Han Feng just because he was the son of Han Dong, the Moon God King. They had a fair battle in the dueling platform. Life and death were determined by fate. Gu Fei would not let others interfere in this battle. Chapter 55-54. At the top of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion in the southern barbarian royal city, Han Feng and Wu Hui were fighting on the dueling platform. Since they were on the dueling platform, it was naturally a battle of life and death. There was nothing much to say. Between the 2 of them, only one could walk out of the dueling platform alive. However, Han Feng and Wu Hui's cultivation base was on par with each other. Gu Fei had long seen that both of them would most likely end up heavily injured in the fight. And the reality proved that Gu Fei's prediction was right. Han Feng and Wu Hui were really injured. At this time, the 2 of them were still fighting. Countless wounds appeared on their bodies and they were covered in blood. In some places, even their bones were exposed. However, they were in a killing frenzy and had no intention of stopping. And Gu Fei had no intention of stopping this duel. After Gu Fei admitted his identity, the higher-ups in the Imperial Gathering Pavilion could no longer sit still. More than half of the higher-ups in the Imperial Gathering Pavilion were scared out of their wits. Even a transcendent Emperor Realm super expert had left. The remaining people actually didn't escape. Were they not afraid of death? Gu Fei was a peerless and ruthless person. He was a legend in the Void Realm. He rose up in the Southern Barbarian and fought in the Void Realm. He oppressed Sacred Master Void Sky's incarnation and subdued the arrogant Limitless Demon Master. The shocking battle with the Limitless Sword Master shook the Void Realm. At this time, Gu Fei was definitely the strongest existence in the Void Realm. Even if Sacred Master Void Sky's true body returned, she might not be able to defeat him. Sacred Master Void Sky, that old fellow, had successfully returned to the Limitless Realm. It was impossible for him to come out again. After all, he had spent a lot of effort and waited for countless years to successfully return to the Limitless Realm. He would never leave the Limitless Realm again. It was easy to leave, but difficult to enter. Even a supreme existence in the Limitless Realm would find it extremely difficult to return to the Limitless Realm, let alone others. If Gu Fei wanted to find Sacred Master Void Sky for revenge, he could only enter the Limitless Realm. He wanted to gather all the Limitless Realm powerhouses he could gather, and then combine their strength to see if they could break the boundary of the Limitless Realm and enter the Limitless Realm. This was also the reason why Gu Fei did not kill the Limitless Demon Lord. At this moment, no one in the arena knew of Gu Fei's true identity. Boom! Bam! On the dueling platform, Han Feng punched Wu Hui in the chest. At the same time, Wu Hui's right leg swept across Han Feng's waist. Wu Hui was sent flying by Han Feng's punch. On the other hand, Han Feng was swept by Wu Hui's right leg and was sent flying to the side. Han Feng rolled a few times on the ground, then stood up from the ground, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. The clothes on Wu Hui's upper body had already been shattered by Han Feng's fist energy. A fist imprint had sunk deep into his body, and even his sternum had been shattered. Under Han Feng's inner vision, he discovered that cracks had appeared on his spine. Wu Hui's kick had almost broken his spine. The sharp pain from his spine made Han Feng almost unable to straighten his back. When one's cultivation reached the divine realm, the vitality of a cultivator would become extremely strong. Although Han Feng had suffered a heavy blow, he still had the strength to fight. The same was true for Wu Hui. Even if his sternum was shattered by Han Feng's punch, he could still fight. Han family's boy, can you still fight? Wu Hui stared at Han Feng opposite him, and reached out to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth. Haha, what do you think? Han Feng laughed. Okay, let's continue. Wu Hui slowly stood up. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Han Feng also stood up. Both of them were ferocious and unwilling to admit defeat. These two guys. Gu Fei could not help but be a little moved when he saw this scene. It seemed that these two guys were really going to fight to the death. However, the final outcome was likely to be mutual destruction, and both of them would be finished. Such an ending was a little cruel for Han Feng and Wu Hui. However, this was their own choice, and any outcome could only be borne by them. Gu Fei would not intervene. You really don't care about their lives? Goddess Yan Ling, who was carefully standing to the side, whispered. This is their own business, Gu Fei said indifferently. Goddess Yan Ling was a little speechless when she heard this. Han Feng's father is the Lunar Divine King, Han Dong, and Han Feng only has one son, Goddess Yan Ling said after thinking for a while. Only son? Gu Fei could not help but frown when he heard this. Divine Moon King Han Dong was one of the first divine kings to follow him. In these thousands of years, this guy only had one son? The Han family of Nan and Imperial City was a big family, but Gu Fei was very surprised that Divine Moon King Han Dong only had one son. Moreover, the Han family was a big family in Nan Imperial City. It was obvious that Divine Moon King Han Dong had other brothers. Otherwise, how could the Han family develop into a big family in Nan Imperial City? If a family wanted to grow, it absolutely could not do without people. Only with a lot of people could a family be called a big family. The head of the Han family was naturally Divine Moon King Han Dong. Han Dong only had one son. If Han Feng died on the dueling platform, then Han Dong's line would be cut off. Of course, the Han family would not be cut off, but Han Dong's line would be cut off. You didn't know? Goddess Yenling said in surprise. I just came back, Gu Fei said. Goddess Yenling's eyes lit up when she heard this. There was a lot of information in Gu Fei's words. Just came back? Could it be that Gu Fei had left the Void Realm before? In the past, the incarnation of Sacred Master Sutian, the Limitless Demon Master, the Limitless Sword Master, and the Limitless Snow Demon had teamed up to force Gu Fei to step on the teleportation array leading to the Limitless Realm. Other than the four of them, no one else knew about this. The four Limitless Primes had teamed up to block the news. Therefore, no one knew why Gu Fei had suddenly disappeared. When Gu Fei reappeared, thousands of years had passed in the Void Realm. For Gu Fei, thousands of years was just a snap of the fingers. However, for mortals, it was an extremely long time. Goddess Yenling thought to herself. Where did Gu Fei go? She was extremely curious. However, since Gu Fei did not say anything, she did not dare to ask. However, with Gu Fei's cultivation, the place he had gone to was naturally not an ordinary place. Just as the two people on the dueling platform were about to fight again, a figure walked in from outside the entrance of the dueling platform. Little brat, why aren't you getting off the dueling platform? The newcomer shouted loudly, his voice shaking the entire dueling platform. Father, why are you here? Han Feng's body shook when he heard this voice. He was actually a little frightened. Gu Fei looked at the newcomer, and saw that it was Divine Moon King Han Dong. Chapter 55-55. Little Ye's hunting game was coming to an end. The Saber King Luo Lai was done for. There was still the chaotic Heavenly Emperor. Although he was an Emperor Realm expert, and possessed a demonic weapon bestowed by the boundless Demon Lord, his combat strength was astonishing. However, he had become a hot commodity among the Emperor Realm experts. Everyone wanted to kill him. Anyone who killed him would be rewarded by Little Ye. The news that Hong Zue had forced the Shaman King Wu Fan to death and obtained a Supreme Tao weapon from Little Ye had spread far and wide. One could obtain a Supreme Tao weapon just by killing a traitor. Who wouldn't be jealous? Not to mention being envious, everyone was almost going crazy. It wasn't easy to obtain a Supreme Tao weapon. There were very few blacksmiths in the Void Realm to begin with. A Supreme Tao weapon could only be refined by a Supreme Tao blacksmith. Moreover, Supreme Tao blacksmiths had been extinct in the Void Realm for many years. Therefore, in the current Mirage, there were very few Supreme Tao treasures that were destroyed. They were very rare. Even some Emperor Realm experts might not be able to get their hands on a suitable Supreme Grade Tao weapon because it was simply too precious. After the Saber King Luo Lai and the Shaman King Wu Fang were killed, only the North Vanquishing King, the Plenitude King, and the Chaotic Heavenly Emperor were left. The Chaotic Heavenly Emperor was in a desperate situation. While he was fighting Hong Zue'er, many Emperor Realm experts were eyeing him covetously. The Bone Emperor and the Formation Emperor, Huang Fuzun, were both restless. If Hong Zue'er failed to take down the Chaotic Heavenly Emperor, they would attack immediately. There was no way the Chaotic Heavenly Emperor could escape. He was destined to die here today and become a trophy for others to claim credit from Little Ye. However, he was definitely going to die, but it was still hard to say who would be the one to kill him. Great Heaven Divine Fist! Hong Zui roared angrily. She put away the spear in her hand and threw a punch at the Chaotic Heavenly Emperor. Rumble! The void trembled and the entire sky suddenly darkened. In the darkened void, dazzling bolts of lightning appeared one after another. A destructive aura appeared in this part of the world. Hong Zuier's punch was extremely powerful, and the unstoppable force of her punch shocked even the Heaven Huntian Emperor. On the Flame Star, the Grand Misdivine clan and the Flame clan had fought for countless years. As an extreme grade expert of the Grand Misdivine clan, Hong Zuier had rich battle experience. However, the Hun Tian Huang Emperor was not to be trifled with. Kill! The Chaotic Sky Emperor roared and charged at Hong Zuier. Boom! Two powerful forces violently collided with each other, causing an earth-shattering sound. The vast and mighty energy wave directly shattered the surrounding forest. The area within a radius of over 10 kilometers was cleared in an instant, and even a nearby mountain collapsed amidst the rumbling. A circle of sand and gravel formed a sandstorm that swept out in all directions, killing everything in its path. The spectators retreated far away in fear. Even Bone King and Huangfu Zun, the two Emperor Realm experts, backed away. Xiaoye and Long Xiaozhou couldn't help but frown when they saw this. The destructive power of a battle between Emperor Realm experts was too strong, and the damage it caused was not small. Fortunately, there weren't many people in the vicinity. If the two of them were to fight in a crowded place, many people would die. Boom! There was another loud bang, and another wave of powerful yuan qi burst out. Two figures were sent flying backwards. Hong Zui'er soared into the sky and stood in the void, still brimming with battle intent. On the other hand, the Heaven Huntian Emperor was kneeling on one knee, and blood was dripping from the corner of his mouth. He was at a disadvantage in this clash. Damn it! The Heaven Huntian Emperor had to face reality. Although the demonic weapon was powerful, he wasn't a demon. If he used the demonic weapon too many times, he would be harmed instead. At this moment, the demonic qi had already invaded his body, and he was in danger of being demonized. The Heaven Huntian Emperor was desperately fighting against the demonic nature that had invaded his body. He didn't want his will to be destroyed by the demonic nature and become a demon. However, once he became a demon, his strength would definitely skyrocket. However, he would no longer be himself after he became a demon. He wouldn't completely fall into the demonic path until the very last moment. Don't push me too far. I'll just take you down with me. The Heaven Huntian Emperor slowly stood up and roared at Hong Zui'er, Bone Emperor, Huangfu Zun, and the others in the sky. His eyes finally fell on the two figures watching the show from afar. They were Xiaoye and Long Xiaozhou. Xiaoye's cultivation had surpassed the peak of Divine King Realm and reached the half-step Emperor Realm. Long Xiaozhou's cultivation was even more amazing. Not only was she in the Emperor Realm, but she was also at the peak of the Emperor Realm. Her cultivation was almost catching up to her father, the old Dragon Emperor of the West Sea. Of course, this had something to do with Long Xiaozhou's inheritance from Gu Fei. It wasn't difficult for Long Xiaozhou to cultivate to the peak of the Emperor Realm in a few thousand years after receiving some of Gu Fei's inheritance. However, in the eyes of others, cultivating to the peak of the Emperor Realm in a few thousand years was simply heaven-defying. If Long Xiaozhou were to personally attack, the Heaven Huntian Emperor would have died a long time ago. Take me down with you? Long Xiaozhou smiled disapprovingly. This guy couldn't even defeat Hong Zui'er. Who did he want to take her down with him? Did he have the ability to do so? Again! Hong Zui'er shouted and threw another punch at the Heaven Huntian Emperor who was kneeling on the ground. Roar! The Heaven Huntian Emperor roared ferociously. In the next moment, boom! A monstrous demonic aura erupted from his body. In an instant his pupils turned blood red. Boom! The Heaven Huntian Emperor threw a punch and dispersed Hong Zui'er's fist energy with a single punch. He's possessed. Hong Zui'er was taken aback. She only felt a huge force colliding with her, directly sending her flying backwards. After stabilizing herself, Hong Zui'er felt the blood in her body churning. This guy. Hong Zui'er stared at the guy on the ground covered in demonic aura in shock. He's possessed in the end. In the distant sky, Xiaoye and Long Xiaozhou were not surprised by this scene. Just as the Heaven Huntian Emperor was possessed, an uninvited guest suddenly arrived at the top of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion in the southern barbarian Imperial City. It was the Lunar Divine King, Han Chong. Why is he here? Gu Fei was a little surprised. Wasn't Xiaoye playing her hunting game? Why did Han Chong come here instead of participating in the hunt? At this time, Gu Fei's appearance began to change because he didn't want to be recognized by Han Chong. In the blink of an eye, Gu Fei's appearance had completely changed. Chapter 55-56. At the top of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion, an angry roar broke the silence in the duel arena. All the spectators in the spectator stands turned to look at the newcomer in unison. They saw a skinny, dark-skinned, bearded elder striding in from the entrance of the arena. This person's eyes were like lightning, and he walked with a majestic gait. His body was shrouded in a chilling aura. Wherever he walked, a layer of frost formed on the ground. A cold aura immediately spread out in the duel arena, and the temperature in the entire duel arena dropped rapidly. Lunar Holy King Han Chong? Someone recognized the identity of the newcomer. Holy King? Everyone was shocked. Lunar Holy King Han Chong had some fame in the southern Man Royal City. After all, he was the one who allowed the Han family to take root in the southern Man Royal City. Even if the people in the arena hadn't seen Han Chong before, they had heard of his name. Moreover, Han Chong wasn't an ordinary Holy King. His cultivation had also reached the peak of Holy King. Such a Holy King wasn't comparable to an ordinary Holy King. "Brat, get down here!" Han Chong looked at the two figures in the arena anxiously. The person he was worried about was his only son, Han Feng. At this moment, Han Feng's body was riddled with wounds. Drop after drop of blood dripped from his body to the ground, and the smell of blood permeated the air. When one's cultivation reached the godly state, their sense of smell was extremely sensitive. As long as there was a trace of smell in the air, they would be able to capture it. Of course, Wu Hui's injuries weren't lighter than Han Feng's. It was obvious that Han Chong valued and was very concerned about his only son. Lunar Holy King Han Chong had been cultivating hard all his life and didn't have time to marry and have children. Now that he finally had a son, he naturally couldn't let his son die. Because he only had one son to pass on his mantle. If Han Feng died in the arena, Han Chong would have no descendants. "Don't be a coward!" Han Feng ignored his father. He stared at Wu Hui and roared. "I'm not asking you to be a coward, but you can't fight anymore. Come with me!" Han Chong shouted at Han Feng in the arena. "What?" Han Feng was a little surprised. What happened? Why did his father want him to go with him? "Wu Hui, enough!" At this time, another figure walked into the duel arena. "Great Mage King?" Wu Hui was shocked when he saw who it was. Han Chong and the Great Wizard King had actually appeared in the arena at the peak of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion at the same time. What was going on? "Looks like I can't watch this show anymore." Someone stood up and left. However, most people were still sitting quietly because they were very curious. "How about we fight next time?" Wu Hui said. "That's exactly what I was thinking." Han Feng nodded. With the arrival of Han Chong and the Great Wizard King, the battle between Han Feng and Wu Hui could no longer continue. "Brother Han, your son is very powerful," the Great Mage King said to Han Chong with a faint smile. "Didn't my son just beat up your son? What, you're not convinced?" Han Chong said proudly. All these years, they had endured so much. Now that Gu Fei was back, they didn't have to endure anymore. "You!" Seeing Han Chong's proud look, the Great Mage King was so angry that his chubby face twitched a few times. He stared at Han Chong fiercely. Things were different now. Now that Gu Fei was back, the sorcerer tribe wouldn't dare to provoke Gu Fei's people. The Great Mage King naturally didn't want to provoke Han Chong. The Great Mage King, who was extremely angry, could only suppress his anger. His son, Wu Zhan, was beaten badly by Han Feng. "Hee, you have no choice but to be convinced. Who asked my son to be stronger than your son?" Seeing the Great Mage King's defeated look, Han Chong became even more proud. "You win!" The Great Mage King took Wu Hui, who had come down from the duel arena, and left. "You brat, you've got guts. How dare you go up to the duel arena?" Han Chong reached out and gave his son a hard knock on his head. "Father, you—" Han Feng was in so much pain that tears flowed out. "Follow me!" Han Chong grabbed Han Feng's collar and dragged him away. Seeing that there was no more show to watch, the surrounding spectators also got up and left. Soon, only Gu Fei and Goddess Yan Ling were left in the duel arena. If Gu Fei didn't leave, how would Goddess Yanling dare to leave? At this time, Gu Fei's divine will envelop the entire southern Man Imperial City. He sensed a large number of powerful auras gathered in the City Lord's mansion of the Southern Man Imperial City. There seemed to be some kind of gathering in the City Lord's mansion because all the powerhouses in the city were heading there. What are Xiaoya and the rest doing? Gu Fei said to himself. In the Southern Man Imperial City, apart from Gu Fei, only Xiaoya and the rest could gather all the powerhouses in the city. Of course, it was only after Gu Fei's return that Xiaoya and the rest could gather all the powerhouses in the city. If it was in the past, who would care about Xiaoya and the rest? But now it was different. Once Xiaoya's order was issued, all the powerhouses in the Southern Man Imperial City had to obey it because the consequences would be very serious if they didn't obey Xiaoya's order. At this time, night fell and the City Lord's mansion was brightly lit. The powerhouses of the major forces in the city were gathering in the City Lord's mansion. However, Xiaoya and the rest had yet to return to the Southern Man Imperial City. Since you're here, come out and meet me! At this moment, Gu Fei suddenly said. What? Goddess Yanling was shocked when she heard this and hurriedly looked around. However, she didn't see a single person. However, as soon as Gu Fei's voice fell, a figure silently appeared in front of Gu Fei without warning. Greetings, Senior. The person who came bowed respectfully to Gu Fei. Supreme Emperor Realm? Gu Fei only took a glance at this person to see through her. This person was one of the 2 Supreme Emperor Realm experts in the Imperial Gathering Pavilion. Moreover, she was a stunning woman, a female Supreme Emperor. In the Void Realm, there were female Supreme Emperors. The 9-tailed Demon Fox Emperor under the Witch Emperor was a female. This Demon Fox Emperor transformed into a human and was a stunning woman. However, the woman in purple in front of him was not the 9-tailed Demon Fox Emperor. Who are you? Gu Fei didn't even look at the mysterious woman. Greetings, Pavilion Master! Goddess Yanling became nervous when she saw the person who came. This was because the person who came was the Pavilion Master of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion, a peerless expert of the Supreme Emperor Realm. Are you the owner of this place? Gu Fei said indifferently. Yes, I am the Pavilion Master of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion. The mysterious woman nodded and said, Why are you looking for me? Gu Fei asked. This woman would never appear for no reason. Chapter 55-57. The battle between Han Feng and Wu Wei could not continue at the top of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion, as they had been called away by the sudden appearance of Han Chong and the great Shaman King. They had no choice but to leave, as even if they wanted to continue fighting, Han Chong and the great Shaman King would stop them. Gu Fei had already changed his appearance when the 2 of them had appeared. Han Chong and the great Shaman King could not recognize him at all. Actually, with Gu Fei's cultivation, he could make Han Chong and the great Shaman King unable to recognize him at all even if he did not change his appearance. However, he had sealed his cultivation. Apart from the powerful spirit of his soul, he was only at the innate realm. However, even with that being the case, the mysterious Pavilion Master of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion had personally come to see him after learning his true identity. It could not be helped. He was Gu Fei after all. No one dared to act impudently before Gu Fei in the Void World right now. How could the Pavilion Master dare to not pay a visit when a great figure like that had appeared in her territory? It's my great fortune to be able to see you, Senior. The Pavilion Master smiled. She was very humble before Gu Fei, as he was a powerful infinite prime who had just subdued the limitless Demon Master. As the Pavilion Master of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion, the mysterious woman had obviously received news that the limitless Demon Master had been subdued by Gu Fei. Moreover, the battle between Gu Fei and the limitless Sword Master had been earth-shattering, so the Pavilion Master obviously knew about it. It would be strange if she could sit still when such a powerful figure had come to the Emperor Gathering Pavilion. I'm very curious about you. Tell me, who are you? Gu Fei looked at the Pavilion Master of Jihuang Pavilion and said indifferently. The pavilion master had never expected Gu Fei to be so direct. She was stunned for a moment before saying, "Senior, please don't misunderstand. We're just a group of people who stand aloof from worldly affairs. We pose no threat to Senior." The pavilion master hurriedly expressed her stance. "Is that so? If that's the case, you won't lose anything by telling me who you are." Gu Fei's tone remained calm. Seeing that Gu Fei still wanted to know about his origin, the pavilion master's forehead started to sweat. Goddess Yanling, who was standing to the side, was also extremely nervous. "That's boring." Gu Fei's tone turned cold. There was actually a force that he didn't know of occupying the southern barbaric imperial city. How could this be allowed? Moreover, this force wasn't a small force. There were actually 2 transcendent Emperor Realm experts and 5 Emperor Realm experts hidden in the Emperor Gathering Pavilion. These were only existences that Gu Fei sensed. This was definitely not the true strength of the Emperor Gathering Pavilion. If this was only the tip of the iceberg, then the strength of the Jihuang Pavilion was much more terrifying. "We stand aloof from worldly affairs." The pavilion master of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion still did not want to reveal his origins. "All right, don't say such things. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old? Gu Fei's voice became even colder. "What do you mean by standing aloof from worldly affairs? These are all lies. If the people of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion were strong enough, they would have already come out to contend for hegemony." Cold sweat flowed down the forehead of the pavilion master of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion. "Gu Fei, what's the big deal about bullying a little girl?" At this moment, a faint and illusory figure suddenly emerged from the body of the pavilion master of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion. A powerful aura immediately erupted from this illusory figure. The pavilion master of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion and Goddess Yanling were both trembling in fear. Although this figure was just an illusory figure, it gave off a strong sense of oppression that could crush everything. It was as if the ruler of the world was looking down on ants on the ground. "Infinite Prime?" Gu Fei was shocked. He actually didn't sense that there was an incarnation hidden in the body of the pavilion master of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion. Moreover, the strength of this incarnation was actually not weaker than the incarnation of Sacred Master Su Tian. How was this possible? There was such a powerful existence in the Void Realm? At this time, Gu Fei realized that he had really underestimated the people of the world. However, the overbearing appearance of this illusory figure made Gu Fei a little unhappy. "Did I bully her?" "Ha ha!" Gu Fei laughed. "Since the Imperial Gathering Pavilion has an expert like you, I'm indeed a little surprised that you're still so low-key," Gu Fei said again. "I'm just laughing at the storm in the sky." The illusory figure stood with his hands behind his back and said indifferently, like an otherworldly expert. Gu Fei, on the other hand, was speechless. This fellow was truly arrogant. This fellow was merely a clone. "Why? You look like you've eaten a dead fly. Why, you're not convinced?" the illusory figure said proudly. "Sigh, how would I dare not be convinced? I'm really not convinced." Gu Fei sighed. "If you're not convinced, then so be it. Why are you sighing?" the illusory figure asked curiously. "I'm sighing for you." Gu Fei looked at the illusory figure with a flash of light in his eyes. "What?" The illusory figure was taken aback. In the next moment, before he could return to his senses, he was grabbed by a big hand. "You!" The illusory figure was instantly dumbfounded. "I'd like to see who you are." Gu Fei did not waste any more time talking to this guy. He directly removed the seal, stretched out his right hand, and directly grabbed this extremely arrogant guy in his hand. Without any hesitation, he directly performed the godly seizing secret technique, and directly read the memories of this incarnation. "Damn it!" The illusory figure was shocked. In the next moment, the illusory figure directly disappeared in the void, instantly turning into nothingness. "Huh!" Gu Fei could not help but be surprised. This guy was really impressive. He actually directly self-destructed and turned into nothingness. Impressive, really impressive. Gu Fei had no choice but to admire him. This was also a means of self-protection, to guard against ruthless people like Gu Fei. Gu Fei was not a person who played by the rules. The Emperor? Although it was only for a moment, Gu Fei still succeeded in reading some of this guy's memories. The real body of this incarnation was called the Emperor, and this Emperor was related to the limitless realm. Where is your master? Gu Fei looked at the pavilion master of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion and asked. Master's abilities are remarkable and mysterious. How could we possibly know where Master is? The pavilion master of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion said in fear. This Gu Fei really lived up to his name. He actually forced the Master's incarnation to turn into nothingness. Otherwise, the Master's memories would be read by Gu Fei. Of course, the Master might not necessarily be afraid of Gu Fei. The pavilion master of the Imperial Gathering Pavilion was very confident in her master, the Emperor. Is that so? Gu Fei looked at the Imperial Gathering Pavilion with a faint smile. Just now, he discovered something very interesting. Perhaps he would soon be able to find that old bastard Sacred Master Su Tian for revenge. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.